see would get to wield it.
Makes sense to me. All right, stream is going. We are live. Everything is hunky dory.
Wow.
Is
Now,
it
after
then?
all the good jokes are done.
Yeah, welcome to the boring stream.
Yeah, well,
It's gonna be boring anyway without Valky.
yeah, I know, right? Always the life of the party.
Yep.
Yeah, looks like y'all are here
Hmm.
in the server.
Indeed.
So that's good. I mean, that's half what I need to make sure happens.
I will also copy Valky's token and put him on the Serpent Valley map.
Oh, nice of you. Yeah, those other ones might get deleted if you leave. So, fair point.
And the fact that I was able to copy and paste him on the Serpent Valley it seemed to indicate to me that he didn't exist on there, so it would have been a shame if his token got deleted.
It would have.
There would have been some measure of guilt and or blame leveled at individuals.
No, he. I'm sure diligently saves his token.
Never assume that people are diligent. You'll be disappointed.
I don't diligently save my token, only once every level.
Yeah. I don't know. I have like a good 32 at this point saved campaign states. So
That's important.
actually more because we also have the ones from when we played the heroes and the dragon layers and stuff. You never know when you'll need to go back and see how things used to be.
That's absolutely true. I think on a flash drive, I still have archives of the old campaigns I ran of 13th Age.
I was about to say I probably have Weird the Wicked somewhere.
And Vampire the Masquerade and All Flesh Must Be Eaten.
I have Kingmaker laying around.
Yeah, my old Age of Darkness stuff.
Yeah.
On one of those old laptop hard drives I've kept.
Turtle Holland Fudge.
Old person.
It's just the craziest thing, right? I don't know what happened to my mind. I can still remember all that shit.
Yeah. How
So
deep
long
it
ago.
gets
I
to
could
you.
probably still if I just spend a few minutes thinking about it, I could probably go through that campaign almost session by session.
Gosh.
Back when the sessions were super long because
Yeah.
Manikai and then when Jonas came in, both of you were young and vivacious,
Mm-hmm.
full of life.
Yeah.
It was a different time.
Before I got old and gray and fat.
That's it's some like I think Buddhists say that you only have so many breaths in you. You know, a lot of them were spent.
Isn't that Donald Trump?
But not that campaign.
Who says that
What?
you only have so much energy, so you can't waste it? I seem to recall that being said.
I am the only young man left who could go the distance.
Yes.
That sounds like something Donald Trump would say. Yes.
It has nothing to do with the fact that you are, what is it, like 6 hours behind us.
Hey, Grimmeth used to be the one telling us to stop. So
Oh, responsible
I
Grimmett.
feel like, you know,
Sometimes that did happen where both Jake and I would look at each other like, what the fuck is wrong with these people?
guys, I need to.
It's like fucking 11 p.m. We've been here for like 10 hours.
You play D&D and you look at the sun go down, you look at the sun come up, and you're like, yeah, this is good.
Fucking Manikai is being delivered breakfast. I don't have anyone to deliver me breakfast.
It's pretty nice.
I've never been delivered breakfast. Well, I have, but that was a long time ago now.
Sheep, you want to do the recap or should I?
I'll do it.
Okay.
It's not too much to talk about. I believe a lot of last session was spent resolving various downtime activities that I will have problems to summarize because Velignov doesn't know what the others have been doing, so I've only been half listening. Notable, however, I think for everyone involved is that apparently Verdlev got one of those behemoths and was like, hey, Velignov, look, you can use this to measure your armor and such, but bring it back to me tomorrow. Velignov was like, how the fuck did you get this? But of course, Verdlev wasn't delivering it, but one of her servants, who didn't know what the hell was going on either, or at least said that he doesn't. So Vellignif is still none the wiser because I, in character and in person, forgot to ask Vellignif. It'll be forever a mystery. The bulk of the session, however, was spent first of all discussing what we want to do, and then deciding on checking out first the strange lake in the west of the valley that Vedliv's Harpies had discovered, that was surrounded by oddly humanoid-shaped cloth bundles, which turned out to be a whole bunch of just wrapped up dead people. And I at least was very suspicious about them, so obviously I did the only sensible thing and messed with things as much as I could think of. But nothing happened, so we just unwrapped a few mummies or something, and then we decided to leave again. The place felt to us like there was potential there, like something of a magical, ritualistic sort, but we really couldn't figure out what the hell was going on there. Afterwards, we traveled to the City of the Dead, the little ruined city that I believe also Vedliv's Harpies had discovered. And we figured we'd poke around a bit. If it's abandoned and such, surely it has basements with grand treasures and such. Which we looked around. We entered the biggest, most wealthy-looking house ruin that we could think of, which contained 4 sarcophagi and a bunch of urns. For some reason that I'm sure made sense at the time, Veristrix went first, and when the inevitable mummy invasion came, as the sarcophagi had corpses which quickly came to life, and like the urns also like held skeletal bones that, you know, skeletons with arrows and swords and mummies, and it was an awful time for everyone involved. But luckily, we were strategic geniuses, and nothing bad almost happened. So don't worry about that. But after that beating that we definitely did not take, it actually turned out reasonably valuable, as the sarcophagi had treasures within. However, that was only one of the buildings in the City of the Dead. There were a couple more, but we wisely decided to check that out another day. They're not going to run away, and all in all, that place wasn't nearly as fun as it sounded. And that was pretty much the session.
This is sufficient enough summary. If you want to learn more details about the Mulholland people and why the fuck they were in a city there in the mountain, you'll have to go back over the session.
No, I'm pretty good, I think.
Okay. Sheep, you're going to be wielding that sacrificial weapon. Don't forget that.
Okay.
Yeah, there definitely are still buildings in this dead city you have not checked out, obviously. But for now,
It's not like they're going anywhere.
Yeah, we should look at our goals. We have 3 open goal slots, which means that we should maybe think up some goals if we have any. Beyond that, there's also the opportunity to abandon one if the party is in a place.
I have a question. Burning down Elm, is that still a thing?
Oh yeah, that's currently the goal. That's the longest goal that's lingering there. Our 5 goals, I reposted those in the group chat, but for audience, we have hard for burning down Elm, medium, something that I suggested was surveying the Giants Run Mountains, which would take us all the way back down to the southern edge and back. Hard for securing the ancient hold, which will likely be the one that's on there the longest. Hard is for something that Sheep wanted to do, which was secure at least one of each behemoth for convenient use. And then medium was my second suggestion for exploring the City of the Dead. We got that partially completed. You don't there's plenty of open goal slots. 3 aren't there right now?
Well, are we still interested interested in burning down Elm? Because I've heard a little to and fro here over the last couple of sessions.
Vedinov is very much still interested. However, the approach is difficult because it's relatively well defended, and other than just charging right at it, currently just lacking the way on how to do it. I do still want to pursue it, however.
Okay.
Some detail missing from the recap that might be pertinent to you, Jonas, is that Verdolith made clear to the others some of her discoveries when she went on her flying trip, which was how well defended Elm seemed to be, with gigantic trees that immediately sensed her approach with hostile intent. And also, the refugee stream that had been crossing from north to south to seek hope and asylum somewhere that might tolerate spell scars, those people have stopped moving and are congregating into a huge refugee camp that's bigger currently than the village of Elm, regards population size. There's huge basically be a bunch of plague and sick victims. They're burning and disposing of the bodies, but there's power congregating there,
Right.
which we might be able to use these fucking desperate people,
Yeah.
or they might end up being used on us because they're outside the valley.
I sense opportunity.
Yeah, one suggestion I made last time was the Worms Hamlet is in severe trouble from those refugees, which are just overflowing and presumably rampaging and all those things.
The walls have been scorched, as if they've made attacks with their blue fire that they have.
Yeah, if we help out the Worms Hamlet and get them into our claws, basically, we can use that as a staging point for just general opportunities, really, and also Elm especially. I've basically suggested we help out Worms Hamlet, get it under our control, and then start launching raids onto Elm with the help of our lizard folk.
Yes, possible. I also see a possible Saruman, hill folk conversation with these refugees.
They have leadership of some kind. We just haven't done it. This discovery was only just made last session, so we didn't delve into it.
A horde of desperate people can easily be pointed somewhere, and if you point that to Elm, they might just crash against the walls and weaken it enough for us to kill it.
Yeah. Speaking to answer your question regarding how I feel about them as a player, I'm all right with it. It could be things that dragons do, if that's the story that dragons are going to be telling. As a character, though, Verdolith, that's something that she can't be convinced to do. If all four of us were going to go there, I would ask to play a minion instead. Verdolith just does not see any value or point, and that's not something she could not be convinced on. It's too much of a waste for her as far as she's concerned. Those people literally have done nothing to earn what Valignith wants to do, and there's just no value in it for
her. Personally, my plan for Elm has been that once it has been burned down, Tyraxos would build it up. Simply because, the smartest thing is, how do we keep an eye on the adventurers who are out to get their stuff? Well, we run the tavern, right? Welcome to Dragon Inn Tavern. Tell all your secrets to the tavern keeper, and he will pass it along to Tyraxos, and Tyraxos will be like, "Oh yeah, there's adventurers coming." Also, I've earned 200 gold from selling them, swords and rope, and then when they bring stuff back, we can buy it back from them, or collect money from their corpses. It's a win-win situation, really. So I would like to set up a business in Elm. That is what Tyraxos would like to do.
And that might be achievable if Elm were to vanish and then Worms Hamlet became the destination for people to go to and travel to in this particular area. It's even got walls.
Yeah, it might be easier to turn Worms Hamlet into a trading outpost than rebuilding Elm after Valignith is done with it. Elm is starting to sound very druidic, almost in a sense, which is not conducive to general business.
Oh, I don't know.
It's got this.
We've had good experiences with a druid.
Well, one druid.
I met with him too. He's still in the area. He's very interested in in destroying and obliterating every single refugee in that refugee camp. That's his personal, like, first, second, and third goals.
Honestly, for Tyraxos, these blue fire crazies, he doesn't like them one bit. They seem to be worth destroying. But if we can use them to destroy them, even better. But yeah, I guess set up a business would be a goal I would be interested in, because, as I said, I want to have Tyraxos branded inns, general stores, weapon shops, because Tyraxos is a businessman. He's gonna make some money out of all of these adventuring types. And maybe even feeding them some false information here and there. It's like, yes, when you go into Dragon Lair, I heard that if you go to the left, you will find a shortcut, but instead left is, of course, the Sphere of Annihilation, so...
He's gonna set up a factory devoted to, like, making top hats, which he will proliferate across all of Faerun.
Exactly.
Each of us not only has 2 goal slots, and, like, there certainly are 3 openings, so go for it if you want to create a business. Like, I have no objection to that. Follow your dreams.
Yes. Manikai?
Manikai is like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Make a business? He's a fucking dragon!
How would you like to phrase the goal?
Tyraxos would like to set up a business in either Elm or Worm's Hamlet. As I said, an inn, a weapon store, general store, something for him to, one, bring in money from adventurers and people, like, buying his goods. But 2, collecting lots of information, seeming like, oh, what adventurers are actually in the area? What are they talking about? Are they interested in coming to the valley? What are they looking for? Like, information gathering, because, in a tavern, adventurers certainly talk a lot. Just having a dragon run a Tyraxos branded business in every city, village, and hamlet around the area would go a long, long way for him to keep tabs on everything and everyone.
So, I have a goal here that could be medium, of set up a business in a nearby settlement.
Yes.
Okay. That works for me. That leaves you 2 goals.
Have we talked about polymorphing ourselves before? Is that something we have gotten back to? Like turning ourselves into humanoids so we could walk in the streets of cities and explore?
It's no longer, like, the goal that I'm heavy into pursuing. I had a chat with Manikai.
I've never been interested.
I would be, if nothing else, to just see cities for myself, not coming in as a terrifying death machine all the time.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Explain.
Sometimes, soft power will do very well for oneself.
How are you supposed to pursue romance paths and relationships if you can't go into the cities? I understand.
Exactly. Yeah.
Keep your dating options open.
Tyraxos is looking to the future.
The serrated claws are very scary.
They are. Who would love some with these claws? Well, they are very impressive.
Business.
Yeah.
Then you can make a corporate fueled.
It's all about connections and information. For some reason I can't get the 2 hobgoblins to reproduce, so I need to gain power some other way.
Mm-hmm. Turn into a hobgoblin.
Yeah.
And,
if that's something that isn't really interesting to anyone else, we can leave that be for now. Maybe there'll be a way in the future.
A problem would be that there's no current approach for Tyraxos to maybe if you found an idea that you could work with, maybe some fey magic to glamour or something, you could have somewhere to start. But at the moment it would be a very nebulous goal, which is not ideally what goals are.
Like, hey, hag lady Druma, like,
she could probably dip me in a
teach me
cauldron.
about transforming my body.
Mm-hmm.
sure you can trust your vassal, the hag, to tinker with
Mind
your
control
body.
hag.
Yes,
I just got
mind
an idea which may be interesting, although I don't know how feasible it is. So, Worm's Hamlet has like a wall and probably also like small
Yeah.
keep or
I
something.
mean, it's no, let me just tell you about Worm's Hamlet from what Verdalith saw from a distance. What you probably all at this point, if you've flown to the top of the dam, you could sort of squint a bit and like fly a little bit further out, and you could probably see Worm's Hamlet. It's not too far away. The wall, when I say it, it's like a 2-meter tall, like boulder stone built wall. It is. I mean, it's not what you would call like a city wall. In that it's not like bricked stone. It's just they took stone, they put them on top of each other with some mortar in between. It's like a dragon could generally like crash into it and like break it without too much difficulty. The hamlet is fairly small. In that it's not large at all, really. It looks like some of the houses that were there are abandoned. Like there's basically less people than there used to be, quite clearly. But it's not a big place. I mean, it's a handful of families. Be there.
Okay,
So
so
yeah, they have. It seems like they used to have money in some way, but now they don't.
So my initial thought was basically I think it would be good for us to have that under our control somehow. And my initial approach was, hey, we help the town and they'll be forever, grateful. But that's stupid. Like we don't help people. We're dragons. So surely there's some sort of leader figure or something in the town, and surely said leader figure has some sort of female or male companion which could be taken away and used as hostage.
Certainly a dragon move.
Mm-hmm. So sounds like the first step on that would be investigate the
Kidnap a princess.
Yeah, it would be good to have people who we can like send into towns to give us the lay of the land, as it were. Like getting a look from the air is nice and all, but we need to know what's going on. I was considering like sending some of my dwarves there because they don't have much to do currently, anyways, because they're blocked. Oh, they have been there.
Yeah, I mean, the dwarf like Renella has been there before. She stopped in to like on the way to the valley.
How about you send her back there to snoop around a bit?
Doing some other business currently, I think.
Of course she is.
Mm-hmm. She's traveling far.
Yes.
Lignith could actually have some people that could, go into a settlement instead of just pouting underground about not being able to reach Thunder home.
I feel like they should stop pouting and be useful.
Yeah, they really want to get rid of these spiders so they can begin building boats. That's what the dwarves want to do.
Well, it's only so much time, all right? If you can't get rid of the spiders yourself, then you'll wait. And while you're waiting, you can be useful otherwise. Otherwise, you're just... I don't know.
Dwarves. They certainly tend to be stubborn people.
As long as you live under my roof, you'll be useful.
Yeah, but I mean, if you can't come up with any more goals, we can just move on. If what we have is good enough.
I suppose we should then.
Depends on what you plan to do in the session, of course. Yeah. All right. Because another thing we need to do is we need to roll for the adventuring parties. They've been out for quite a while now, and it's time to see how they're doing on their many journeys and exciting adventures. And it's done fairly simply. So we have 3 parties. We have the party of Snoot, Rava, the Deva Paladin, and Stasi, the human barbarian. Then we have the party of Jin, Noverkree, the sneaky lantern sorcerer, and Mika, the human monk. And we have the party of Goran, the dwarven fighter, Kellen, the gnome rogue, gnome, who joined up with Zune, the drow ranger. Which party do we want to check out first?
Go with the order you sent.
All right. Does anyone want to roll Snoot's party with a +0
The sheep,
on
I
their
think.
mission to
That's his
bounty
party.
hunt?
I think that's me.
Okay.
Hmm.
A 13 does beat the bounty hunting DC, which means they collect a fat bounty. Sheep, do you give me a D4 and let's see what they get out of it?
All right.
4 gold.
Amazing riches.
No, they have an impact upon the world with their action here. They've taken out someone big they've done it. They've hunted the bounties. There's no more bounties to be done. They've really worked hard and efficiently taking out a lot of people, removing the bounty hunter mission as a thing, because now the people they have been bounty hunting are no longer around, and so
They've
you will
hunted
not
all
and
the
so
bounties.
you will not encounter those bandits because they have been taken out.
Oh. Wow.
Yeah. Later, if you have an organization, it might be, go break up Runilla's trading caravan post. And if they roll this, they will actually break it.
What? Excuse me, she's run a legitimate business here. Excuse me.
I used it as an example. Yeah.
That's never stopped adventurers from destroying legitimate enterprises
God.
before, and
They
you know
show
that
up.
full well.
God
Start
fucking
in the-
damn it, I hate
Half an hour later,
adventurers.
the innkeeper is dead, and the guards are running after them. And
Hate adventurers.
I love any game in which we're not adventurers being like fucking adventure.
I remember Kingmaker, I was terrified. It was like, the adventuring guild comes to show up. They want to investigate the ruins about your home and then take the loot and sell it back to you. You're like, what? That's my loot. Who the fuck are you to come take my shit and
Well,
sell it back
the
to me? My
Pathfinder
God.
Guild. Come on, let's like.
I
Burn him
remember
alive. Burn him at the
the,
stake, I say.
the visceral reaction by everyone in Throne of Night when the Adventurers Guild showed up, and it was like, yeah, sure, we can work with these guys, and everyone else was like, no.
No, I like adventurers.
No, they mess stuff up. They break the law. They're really a rambunctious bunch. All right.
Well,
But no, they did very good here. They did very good. Very good. They got the impact. All right. Then let's see how Jin is doing. He's in Colmere, and turns out that in Colmere, currently, he gets to roll a d4 to see what happens to him in Colmere. Does anyone want to roll for Jin's party? Jin the wizard.
I'll do it.
All right.
I'll be the smart, smarmy asshole.
Oh yeah, he left. He's a smart one.
Fucking teleport. He's fucking out of here.
Bigger, more important shit.
Also a 13.
All right, yeah, he's good. Give me a d4. He's gonna fucking his party's got a good bonus.
2.
Ooh. Oh, well, look at that character growth.
Of course, fucking shit. It's character.
The party leader starts, but any subsequent boon is given to another party member, as well. They improve a trait, making a bad trait less bad or good trait even better.
Oh my
So,
god, that fucking party.
Yeah, they grow better.
Of all the parties, it's so awesome.
Generally, you would prioritize the worst trait. For example, had Noverkree been the party leader, he would probably have put away his cruel
Treacherous
ways
nature.
and grown nicer. But as Jin is the party leader, probably just going to be also rich or some such.
Gets rich.
So,
Of course
I'm
he
curious
does.
to hear how Jin improves from here, considering
Yeah,
how
how does
awesome he
Jin-
is to begin with.
I mean, he traveled to Colmere and now he's gotten. Maybe he became a war wizard, something like that. Growth is a good way for shitty heroes to get less shitty, and for heroes to appear that actually scare the dragons a little bit, because they can
Fucking Jin.
kind of break the mold.
We need to kill him before he grows too big for his britches.
Of
we
course you
travel
would
to
say that.
Cormier.
Yes, the dragons go to court.
Wait, viewers, you can hear the differing attitudes here. Jonas is firmly on the fuck wizards unless he is a wizard, and even then fuck wizards. And I'm like, this is delightful. I love that it's the
No.
competent party. Let's get it.
Goddamn
Oh, look,
wizards.
they met Zacharias and have joined up with him. Gotta be great.
And then we're fucked. He's oh boy.
All right, well, that leaves Goran the fighter and his intense dislike for Toraxos.
Yes. Yes.
Perhaps we should see what happens to them. They're
Yes.
currently trying to go after the Redden River smugglers
Ah.
to take him out. Good of the people.
Come on,
15.
roll 1.
Ooh, look at that. Yeah, they do it. Let's see. They make some headway. Let's see how what they get from that.
A 1.
One, they get loot.
Makes
Which
sense
is
for that
a
greedy
magic item.
bastard.
A magic item. Loot is distributed based on traits. For example, a friend will generally try to give it to their friend, but as the party leader is greedy, he will take it absolutely for himself.
Absolutely.
Makes sense.
All right, yeah, loot.
You know, the adventurers getting loot is great for us because they'll just deliver that to us eventually.
Goran, I believe, was greedy already, which means
Yep.
that he started with a magic sword. So
Mhm.
this will be it prioritizes weapons or implements, and then armor, and then others. Basically. So he will probably find himself a good piece of magical armor that he can bring. Maybe something lightning resistant. You know.
Audience, sometimes the dice do tell a great story.
He's not
Sometimes.
done with the he's not done with the smugglers though. The smugglers are still out there, and they will probably continue. Once a party fails, that's when they begin to consider breaking up and mixing things up. But currently, everyone's doing great. Yeah.
Snoot going out there and doing every bounty.
Yeah. Just looked at that quest board and he was like, I'll take all the quests in town. and I'll go out and do them and then come back. And yeah.
Snoot the completionist.
He didn't grow as a character. He didn't. He just got to have done all that. So now there's less fun people in the valley, which is not the valley, but around the lake, which is nice, you know. Yeah, that was a little update on how the hero parties are doing. We still haven't actually gotten any new heroes, but that's about to change because another thing that has been going on, and it's been quite a while now, but a hero with a legacy is supported by some sort of organization that cares about them and supports them, and that means that due to one of those heroes being dead, someone is going to be sent to take a look at what happened and sort this stuff out.
What happened to poor Soliath?
What happened to poor Soliath, the cleric? Yes. It's always dangerous to kill someone who has a bunch of people who care about them and look out for them. And it is time to roll up.
All right, Jonas. We need to get people who care about us. It's the only possible way.
Oh, look at the dragons learning. We
Wow.
need to make people care about us. Yeah, so if someone wants to give me a d20,
Yes.
we can start for someone.
Do it.
Do it. 10.
10.
Perfect average.
Well, look at that. We have another sneaky character.
Yes.
No.
Let's see what else they are.
Mm-hmm. All right. Is it D20 again?
Mhm.
14.
Well, okay. That's interesting. We have a sneaky and friendly character. A
What?
cleric who is okay with joining the dragon and wants to befriend as many people as possible. So maybe he wants to redeem the dragon. Maybe
Oh
that's his
no!
motivation.
Oh, yeah.
No, it's like
There you go, people who care about you. See?
Oh no!
Oh, that's
Someone
great.
wants He wants to make the dragon understand that it doesn't have to be alone.
Oh no!
No. It can.
That's right.
There's
Oh.
people out there who care about
Oh,
dragons.
what is it?
And,
See,
True
this cleric-
treasure is a
See-
heart of gold.
This cleric understands that you weren't the one to have killed Soliath.
maybe you could be different. You know, you don't have to be
Yeah.
this way.
Will
And
this cleric be
and
the
you know
one-
what? With the friendly word of Ogma, You can learn
Oh,
to
no.
be different and better, maybe,
Is this going to be the cleric who melts Tyraxus's cold, icy heart?
I just
you
rolled
have
my
a
eyes.
clank.
You'll find these novels and more in the romance section.
The spin-off series.
And tender loving care.
Yeah, all right. We'll see who. Currently, there's no other heroes in Elm. They're out doing stuff. But we'll see. The next hero that shows up will then by default become this befriend the cleric, because the clerics might feel lonely and want some friends. So we'll see. We'll see who that is. Let's hope it's not another leader, because that would be sad. Nobody else can have one. All three leaders. Party that never dies. Yeah. Well, that was a little update for how the heroes are doing. They're doing great. There's a new person in Elm doing things, going around looking for friends. But
I want an update on how Tilraxos is doing.
yes, how is Tilraxos doing? Because it's it's been like a whole downtime since we saw Tilraxos.
Mm-hmm.
And it has been it has certainly been a time.
Yes.
Whole time.
Sure has.
So, to phrase this as we should, TV show style, we get a shot of a dark, quiet forest, mist flowing across the land, freezing everything it touches. Above, the sky's blackness, no stars, no moon. Yet the place is still lit slightly by a pale bluish light that come from the ice crystals the freezing mist leaves behind. Tilraxos we see here, as he lies amongst the trees, Phaedron his side. Amongst the trunks around him in the darkness, there are the distant shadows of other beings lost in this place forever, walking in this frozen land, twisted and changed by the same fey powers Tilraxos seeks to control. Tilraxos is here to learn from Phaedron, for the ancient tongue of the Fae is no longer spoken outside this place. His victory and the gift of the hags to the court allows him a single sentence that will be heard by some of the Fae present above him, and all Fae present below him. Their attention is fleeting, as with all Fae, yet he is given a few seconds of eternity, high honor. Tilraxos must speak his words in a language he does not understand. Phaedron is here, whispering, translating, repeating it over and over for him. We shift. There is now music, a strange screeching sound of a string instrument stretched too far. Tilraxos is on a pedestal of ice, a frozen ivy wreath at his brow. He feels the power of this place, of the Fae at his command, wind blowing around him. Around him, looking up, are creatures of many forms, chaotic, malformed, twisted. Things that in status are so far below him he deign not look at them. Around him, on his level, are others like him, none dragons, but all filled with determination, perhaps jealousy in their eyes. Centaurs, hags, Elatrin, gnomes, elves, others who rule for the court but are not true Fae. Above him are the tall figures, pale, perfect faces of the true Fae, and the horned, bestial features of their many cousins. They glance below infrequently amongst their own discussions. It is Tilraxos' turn to speak, and he has the eyes of the court for just a moment. What sentence will he say to them?
Gosh. I should have more preparation for this.
That would be a great sentence.
It would, wouldn't it?
One thing he gets to say that his superiors in the court will actually hear.
How long is the sentence, roughly?
Short. The longer, the less likely they are to hear the end.
Well, let me think. What is Tilraxus interested in? Power, most of all. Influence, commanding, loyalty, certainly important to him. Putting me on the spot here. I'm sorry. I was not.
That's all right.
I was not prepared for something of this gravity.
Tell you what.
Yes.
You think on it as I continue.
Sure.
We'll have a cutaway before he speaks, and at the end of this little event, we will cut back to the words he said. Yeah?
Yep. Sounds good.
We cut to a different place after this little talk. Tilraxus has his reward. Power. Around him lie the mangled bodies of jealous creatures that try to kill him to remove a rival of equal rank from the court. But with him is the Queen's blessing. His rivals failed, and they have been destroyed. Their mangled bodies twisted, anathema to his ideals of order. He's a threat to them all, and he has shown them his power. At this moment, he feels grand. Yet he knows the Queen, and in the back of his mind he knows what will come. He's felt the presence there since he became Low Earl, and he feels it now that he has been recognized as an Earl of Winter. He has enjoyed his victory, destroying his rivals. Now, the Queen will remind him of his mortality. We cut to a different view. Tilraxus lies, broken on the ground. Above him are leering faces, cold smiles of joy, of pleasure in what he's going through. Tilraxus has suffered greatly, pain both physical and mental. Words repeated in his mind in 1,000 voices. The voices of those above him in the court. They mocked him. His puny efforts, his lack of power. They reminded him of his place. As the pain tears and rips through him, their words repeat over and over. He is nothing compared to them. He is nothing, and they are everything. He could never hope to match them. Never in a million years. He is made to feel powerless as they laugh and delight at him. It is something that is done in the court. Phaedron has warned him. And even though you prepare yourself, Phaedron said, they will make you feel worthless, mocked, pointless, because it is how they show their power. It has been days now. He has rested for a few days, recovered, made sure that his humiliation is not visible. In his sleep, Phaedron has whispered to him, advised him carefully. The servant, Phaedron, is the only one beside his betters in the Fey court to have seen him so humbled. Phaedron's whispers are quick, promising. There's more to be done, my lord. In time, Toraxos, you will be beyond them, beyond all of them. And I, Phaedron, I will be at your side, my lord. In time. Do not let their mockery stand. In time, it will be us who stand beyond them. The side of the Queen, my lord. Our ambition can know no bounds. What did Telraxos say to them when he had their attention?
Well, he would have said of that power laying idle is wasted, and Tyraxos is not laying idle.
Yes. Probably an idea he found indeed to be mocked amongst the high archfey.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yes. He is now an Earl of Winter, and although he was greatly given power in the Fey, he can now call upon small spirit of the wind or cold to serve him in his place should he desire it. He is also now at the rank where above him are pretty much only the Fey of various types.
Mm-hmm.
He's on the same rank as most of the sort of the what the Winter Court would consider like the sub-Fey, right? Hags, centaurs, elves, all these creatures that are sort of Fey-ish enough to be under the court, but never actually enough to rise up in high ranks.
Sure.
Really. As such, when he's raised to this rank, the high Fey decide generally to humble the creatures they allow to attain such rank, to show them that although they should not get dreams of grandeur or to make sure that they understand their place. How has Tyraxos dealt with that sort of?
Well, he if it is one thing Tyraxos hate above all else, it is being called weak or inefficient. Just hinting that he is powerless is probably the worst insult you can level against him. And even though he certainly is powerless in something like this, his hate and rage will be just smoldering, or if it is in the Winter case, just cold as the blackest ice. He will never forgive them, ever, and he will swear to himself that one day he will indeed rise above all of these creatures who have humbled him, and he will make them suffer. So, in a way, they would believe that the Queen of Air Darkness herself is punishing them. He does not dare entertain the thought to overthrow the Queen. Even, and just that fact that he doesn't dare think it might even disturb him even more. Because he's inherently a creature of vast power. But, dragons have hubris, but even a dragon would balk at attacking a god. So he accepts his place under the Queen, but not under anything else. Phaedron's words are certainly balm to his battered dragon spirit in these times. Yes, he will rise above all of this, and he will cast them down, and he will laugh. He will laugh and delight in their suffering. Their anguish will sustain him. He will clothe himself in ice made of their frozen tears. Once he has his vengeance. It might take 10 years, it might take 10,000 years, but he will have it.
the next adventures in the future to raid Tilraxis' lair just have like this gallery of like insufferable fools who've been like preserved.
Yep.
Former superiors who he's cast down.
Yep. I have a like a what do you call it? A trophy room that we didn't get to see.
Yeah.
Things I've killed.
Phaedron's words are certainly many and certainly always phrased in a careful manner. He's if nothing else very good at sounding entirely inoffensive.
Yes.
In his manner of speaking. Though at this point, Tilraxis would come to understand really that Phaedron is probably here because he insulted some high fae that thought it would be funny to give him the job of having his rank always tied to that of Tilraxis. That seems like a fitting punishment for someone who might have overstepped themselves in some way. Though Phaedron seems to have taken in strides and accepted that, well, Tilraxis will just have to rise to the top then.
And honestly, Tilraxis is probably not the worst lord to be attached to. You know, there is some of these like lesser creatures that we have fought that would be much worse to serve.
Yeah. Though the high fae certainly judge him as, you know, he was traded to them. He is not actually a fae creature, and so he could not be expected to ever be able to live on.
Oh, he'll show them.
They are perhaps delusional creatures of the fae. They don't actually go to the material realm themselves. That's where all the crappy things live. In their mind. Phaedron advises, however, that he does not think trying to impress them anymore will do anything for Tilraxis. They will never let him step up on the same rank as them. Right. The only way to get above them now would be, and this is daring, but would be to appeal to the Queen of Air and Darkness herself. At Tilraxis' rank, he has rank enough that he could go there and inquire for an audience.
Oh.
But her attention is very fickle. She watches all suffering in the world, and it delights her so. To take her eyes from that for a moment, she would feel grief for all the suffering missed.
Yeah.
And so he would have to bring a truly tremendous gift to delight her enough for her to actually see him beyond something that could feel pain to sate her need for it. As such, Phaedron effectively says that, well, look out for something she delights in. He will make it his journey to try to discover what kinds of things she likes. Yes. He knows she likes statuettes and types of highly magical, like jewelry and such. But he will work in the background to discover this, as he just generally does, like politic for Tilraxis, and sort of try to do all the things that he knows Tilraxis isn't really skilled at, which is like court politics.
Yeah.
Of the Fae, they're very chaotic in nature.
If he needs, if he needs a page or someone to carry his stuff, he can have Were Serpent 1. You know, he's distinguished himself. He can. I'm sure.
Phaedron would look at that thing and go, "Yes, of course."
Were Serpent 1 should be very, very delighted. He gets it to advance.
Yes, look at that! Wow. Yeah. Look out for precious gifts, the gifts that could delight a god. Because otherwise, you really want to impress when you go there, because you only really get one chance.
Right.
She's not a. So far, she probably would not know Tilraxis' name. I've spent enough time. He's sort of one of those creatures that serve her and gain power from her, and bring some of that pain that she enjoys all the time. You know, that's something he creates, but not enough. It's at the level where she really knows him personally.
I need to crit more. That's what he's saying. I'll bring the pain. Maybe that's my gift. I bring a critical hit, like all my critical hits.
You give
them away. You will never. Whenever you roll a crit now, it just disappears.
It just goes to the Queen of Winter.
Wow, that'd be something.
That would be something.
That's
also,
that's really
how it
fucking
would happen.
impressive.
And you need 100 crits to impress her. Whew.
Well, there's certainly goats in the valley.
Line them up.
Yeah. But that is what Tobax has probably been licking his wounded pride.
Yes.
And been telling Phaedron what he will do to these high creatures
Yeah.
and goat-headed like satyr soldiers and
He hates
strange
satyrs now.
fake guards and stuff. Yeah.
He just lays there smoldering,
Mhm.
thinking about their stupid goat faces with their horns and their
They-
beards and
Ram-headed
Lavin and
motherfucker.
Bray, evil eyes. Yeah. Yeah. It's something. I mean, the Unseelie court is known well for accepting non-pure Fae to the point of letting them serve them. In fact, they're pretty much known for enslaving all non-pure Fae that sort of exist. But while the Seelie court is much more purist and does not even want to have anything to do with something that's, they don't enslave anybody. They just don't go here, really.
yes, yes.
Still,
So
Yeah.
You said I could now like summon small winter spirits or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
if for your lair you require some say some wintry air elementals,
Yes.
Those will be available for you.
Sweet. I have Fey lair actions.
In addition to your Z-Wart
Yes.
servants, perhaps you can even go and see if you can track other Fae, because he is now an Earl of Winter, no longer a low Earl. Yeah.
Awesome. I need like a sword or something to carry my stuff in when I go to battle.
Just have the air spirits like carry you on a
Yeah.
palanquin.
Forwards. That would be something. One entrance.
Tyraxos no longer flies, he just stretches
Spreads
his
his
wings
wings
and
and
is carried.
Peer from behind your silken curtains with like a
Yes.
serrated claw.
I'm like a Slan priest. Loading into
I
battle.
I really do love the image of you being carried around by like small air elementals, like not even like contributing in anything other than just carrying you.
I'm just snap my fingers.
Corpulent and imperial.
You like change your pose, and like all the air elementals immediately have to like reshuffle to like support
Like,
your
oh
way.
God, Andres.
Now to make the wintry ice cream shop, I put razor blade in the ice cream.
Yay! See, that's the store.
That's your business, yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking ice cream. Like who fucking is able to have that?
Tyraxos' ice cream store.
We all have those, the sharp little bits you get when you eat popcorn. Those
Mhm.
things at all of our ice creams.
We just have to secure a source of dairy. He scratches like his chin thoughtfully, like looks around.
Yeah, sadly,
There
all
Goats and
are
vanilla.
there are a
all
lot
the
of
yaks
goats.
died. You get rid goat.
Yeah,
goat
there's a
ice cream.
lot of goats in the valley. Line them up, boys.
Cheap people to milk goats.
Here's my crits, baby.
My milking crits. Ugh.
I mean, that'd be knowledge nature. technically.
You know. We could turn that. What?
All right, I'll be right back. Tell you what.
Time to impress the winter court, Tyraxos says before milking a bunch of goats.
You know, when you give Valky the recap for what happened this session, milking crits and just move on.
If I had titles on every one episode, that would be the title for this episode. Oh man. Let's check some. The question is, what do we do? What do we do? Where do we go?
Most of my thoughts are rotating around Worm's Hamlet and the refugees.
Sure.
We'll see how you feel after some role play, because
Yeah.
certainly gonna have to drag you through character role play. Right.
Mhm. What would impress the Queen of Air and Darkness? Captured black hole.
The sneaky and friendly cleric of Agma. Melt Winter's
Somehow.
heart.
Yeah. Somehow doubt it, but they can usher in an eternal winter somewhere. With enough power, anything is possible.
Strength does
mean-
move the world.
It
I'm back.
does.
I mean, she likes suffering, right?
Yes.
I feel like there's opportunity there.
Yes.
We've got a whole bunch of people in the plague camps who are just desperate to do something, probably. And maybe we can push them towards Elm, where they'll mindlessly assault the walls and make it easier for us to burn.
The thing is, it needs to. If you're gonna impress the Queen of Air and Darkness, who delights in suffering with suffering, it has to be on some titanic scale. Like it needs to.
And you have to imagine, like, you can't even fathom like the experiences that she's had like over all these years.
Yeah, it has to
Have
be
you ever
like.
something she's never had before?
He's still high off the spell plague.
That's
pretty good.
Yeah, whew.
I mean, it's gonna be hard to match the fucking spell plague in terms of suffering.
I'm not.
Spell Plague 2.
I know you think
Alright,
pretty
boys.
well of yourself, but
the replaguing.
Kileo.
all right,
Totally.
Menakai. The
No.
three of us are going to depart the Giants Run Mountains. Valky's character, Veristrix, Valigneth, and I, with some words in mind about coming back here. Verlith is pleased that I did take the time to come out and investigate. The promise of a future treasure and mysteries to resolve. Veristrix probably goes to fuck off. His hipster planet needs him. Like how Toraxis is dead last week, and he's like, fuck all you. I'm gone.
I'll get rid of you on this.
Right. Leaving Verlith and Valignif together. Fly together over the dangerous, strange lake, heading back for the valley. She looks at him, says, good flight. Did great work. We did great work, Valignif.
What do you want?
She blinks.
Pertinent question.
And in puzzlement, she says, I wanted to go to that city, and we did. It was a good venture. Who knows what other prizes and treasures lay within the rest of these mountains, unobtained by anyone, former servants of these giants. That fire giant did supposedly come from a southern direction, which does encompass all these mountains, Valignith.
Well, I don't doubt that there's more hidden in these mountains, but that's the problem of tracking it down, and also the other problem of not repeating what transpired, with Veristrix being so hurt in his pride that he charged forward when he should have let me go first.
Vertila says, now you see here, Veristrix had a deep interest in the peoples and the history of that dead city, and so he went in. It mattered to him. You would not have been able to convince him otherwise.
Well, I don't doubt that. I'm just saying it was stupid.
You tell him that it was stupid.
I might. But in the end, it's not in my best interest to stoke an animosity between us.
Right. You wouldn't want to upset any of the other dragons towards you. It might hinder our efforts in the future.
Absolutely. I can control myself, but the others might escalate things into inappropriate measures.
You've done a wonderful job with that thus far, Valignov.
I think
Uh,
so.
I look forward to your continued success.
But what do you want?
What do I want?
I don't. You have a reason for everything you say and do. I'm almost certain you don't just do things out of instinct, unlike. Well, not the same instinct, anyways. And how did you get that?
She blinks. Pardon?
Your Dragonborn servant, the behemoth.
Yes, Sereno. He does still amuse me.
I'm sure he does, but that doesn't answer my question.
What was your question?
How did you get the behemoth?
Oh, right, the behemoth. She, taps a claw, thoughtfully. Well, that would be telling, Valignov.
Yes, it would be. You wouldn't
And
want to stoke animosity between us half siblings, pseudo sibling, actual siblings, would you?
You're right, which is why I don't want to get involved in the competition between you and Veristrix for the lizard folk. Down there is not my concern, especially not now. The hags have been resolved. I'm done with being down there. And whatever you two have to do to broker whatever agreements or control over these lizards is, frankly, beyond my capacity to care.
I'm sure it is.
If I taught you or explained how I captured Behemoth, well, then that would give you an unreasonable advantage. And then that would sour Veristrix towards me.
Suppose it would.
Wouldn't it be more satisfying for you to best Veristrix with your own cunning instead of getting my help?
Well, I don't think I need your help in this. I'm just mostly curious why you were giving it in the first place.
It served multiple purposes, Valignov. It not only established good feelings, she says, but also noted how I would be contacting you with messengers in the future. After all, I do not wish to rely on Veristrix to send you messages in the future. We may have concerns that do not involve him. Or he may be unreachable. We four do not plan on living around this valley forever.
That much is true.
I do not want to have to travel all the way to Veristrix just to have him send you a message wherever you are. And there are some things he should not know.
Well, if you were so inclined to continue your campaign to get into my good graces, might I suggest a different topic for you to wrap your brain around? Elm. It's a bit of a thorn in our side, I do believe. Maybe not yet, but it will be, and it should be resolved.
Verliv, closes her eyes, like a puff of acrid smoke comes out of her mouth. Here we go again.
I, for one, would prefer the direct approach. However, I also understand that it is well defended, which means that might not be the best idea. And as much as I hate to admit any of my shortcomings, which are few and far in between, subtlety is one of them.
Hmm.
So if you had the capability to summon any sort of advantage towards that topic, then I'm sure it would be a favor I could return in the future.
See, Valignif, the problem is that all I'm getting are just a list of potential favors you'll return in the future.
Well, that might be because I don't know what you want, so it is very hard to offer specifics.
Well, think of that as something to consider in the future. What I could want. You can stop thinking about yourself and your own goals long enough. After all, I certainly stopped thinking about myself long enough to help you. Or did it help me in the long run anyway?
Probably.
Probably. Wonder whether Telraxos is done with his Phaedron stupid court, winter, whatever nonsense.
What is that winter court about anyways? I only know it's powerful Fae and whatnot. What if they decide that they don't like Telraxos and just, remove him? We would also feel the consequences. I feel like we should get involved there.
She says, Telraxos himself has been contradictory on this, begging for us not to get involved with the Fae, and then promptly getting involved with the Fae. This is your fault, however, for he did not return with Phaedron until after your hostile confrontation with him in that grove.
Hostile? That wasn't hostile at all. He was hostile. I was not. Was have a sparring match, perhaps.
Mm.
Peers testing each other, which is
Yes, well,
important to suss out our weaknesses so we can work on removing those.
it was after your test that apparently he removed the weakness of not being a member of the unseelie whatevers and came back with that stupid looking Phaedron. Phaedron, yes, Phaedron. I
Well,
blame
maybe.
you for this transition.
Well, maybe then, just maybe, he needs a bit of an intervention.
She scoffs and says, the intervention would have been not to help him with advancing with these fairies, and he wanted to do that through the hags, which you resolved. So if you had had a problem, that would have been the time to express it.
But it just puffs out a small flame.
But perhaps you are jealous, because in his pursuit he will be gaining more power undoubtedly, and while he is tying himself to other elements that we are not involved with, he may surpass you. If he has not done so already. I have my doubts.
I have my doubts, too.
We doubt different things.
Maybe.
Says, but you might as well stay up here on the surface. I've had a harpy lurking around his castle anyway. It's not as if he's that far. If he's not around, then I'll invite you inside, to my place.
Can't say no to that, can I?
Of course you can. She lazily begins gliding out of the high altitudes we've had to fly in, out of beyond the valley, lazily listing herself down towards Telraxos's attempt at a keep. Something that the guards and ogres or whatever will be very able to see. 2 dragons approaching.
Oh, yeah.
Guys in Tiberius playing rock, paper, scissors out on the fucking wall.
Huh.
Trying to win those braces a sure shot.
They've been going for weeks, and they're still like dead even.
One day, one of them will earn the braces.
One of these days, they will. It's on a pedestal in Tyraxos' chamber, like a spotlight on it.
The were-serpent trains in a fucking ranged weapon might have a chance to like win it.
Maybe that's his claim to fame. Maybe he can rule.
Yeah, were-serpent
and
wielding the
guys,
braces are sure shot. Yeah, oh my god.
See, there's Tyraxos values, skill. It's a meritocracy he runs.
Of course. And he has the most merit.
Of course. I mean, who dares say otherwise?
Like this. Verdalith will land basically like on top of like this like quarry area, former quarry, with all of like the grace and majesty of like a beached whale. Just
Varus probably excuse himself that he has something to see to, like below the ground, and he knows that the others are tired of going there, so he'll go to that by himself.
Yep. Of course. As predicted. Can't be away from the Underdark for too long.
All this sunlight.
Yeah, gotta talk with the fucking troglodytes, although they're dead. Gotta talk with the lizard people.
I go look at the mushroom bread he gets from the slaves.
Go think about carrion
Try
crawlers
to
or
make
whatever.
Sure Velignith doesn't get any.
Right. Yep. It's like the ground like impacts, like compresses a little bit, like cracks. Or like snarls at like the front keep.
I imagine some sort of poor dwarf or other servant scurries in to herald the arrival, and
probably both the hobgoblins falling over each other.
That's right. Verdalith was the one who gave her 20 to those hobgoblins.
My lord, my lord.
Big
pushing.
Verdalith and Velignith have arrived. Yes.
They're turning out to be more and more like Chip and Dale. Like, I don't know.
I don't know who that is, but
it's the little chipmunks from Disney.
The Rescue Rangers.
He's not referring to the club for ladies.
I'm not referring
to a fantastic sex god abs party that will make you lose your damn mind.
No, I'm not referencing to the fantastic sex party that is Gaius and Tiberius. Although I reckon they are very well trained and deft, so like maybe that'll be my next business. Maybe goddamn Gaius and Tiberius will have to shake their moneymakers to please Tyraxos over here, bringing in the money.
Great.
I'll reach across and slap both their faces. Anyway, Tyraxos will emerge from his abode after a while.
How's he looking these days?
He looks probably pretty fine, all things considered. The pains and lacerations and humiliations are more spiritual than physical to him. There is a sense of pride. The ice that covers parts of his body might be extra shiny or extra spiky. He carries himself with some increased importance, most like. But there are also an air of maybe a little bit of frailty, if someone has enough insight, like he is agitated over something. He is a bowstring taut, as if someone is pulling the bow, ready to launch at something that sparks his ire.
For Verdalith's part, she looks a little bit slimmer, not much so, but the slightly like sickly like look that she had to her scales by the end of the hag like fight has remained. Though she does appear to be full of energy and some exuberance as she like lands. Has been waiting there patiently as she often is, because she's usually not in a fucking hurry at all.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, sort of like a different like pallor to her scales than has been evident throughout course of the brief time we've had together as dragons.
Yeah. I
I
also
don't know how
like.
Valignus looks. Who cares?
Oh, Valignor for his part would still be wearing his perhaps perceived as still a bit outrageous like metal armor, the thick plates that he's basically strapped onto himself, the shield at his tail. His stance perhaps a bit a bit puffy, a bit bolsterous, occasionally glancing over to Tyrexus, then Verdlif. It's very obvious that something that Verdlif said on the flight here would have perhaps rattled him a little bit. He's not very good at hiding that. But mostly he's scanning Tyrexus pretty much up and down with an obviously questioning look. It's to the point where it's, what happened is written in his stance, in his face, basically.
Yes. There is also, I imagine now, like a fairly permanent cold aura around Tyraxos, like a little wind puffs and other, maybe like a little snowflake here and there, sort of falling off him, almost as if he is like a small little cloud walking around, putting down snow, or maybe the shadows in odd angles. Maybe he himself doesn't cast his shadow just like he should, or it sort of twitches and dances in weird ways as he moves. Like the little nooks and crannies where shadow dwell on his scales are sort of alive and boiling from time to time.
He has his own aura of wrongness about him, not entirely dissimilar to those affected by the spell plague or those hags.
There is something. He's not. There. He's certainly made some bargains, and there is. There is something that would feel strange to the other dragons, but there is also clearly power. He's drawing upon something to bolstering himself for sure.
Verdlif, in her ever jovial and always smooth and pleasant voice, says, "Tyrexos, so good to see you. Your business has concluded?"
Looks from Valagnith and his puffness and looks over to Verdlith. Something more slightly, although that might be an odd word, but yeah, something. He seems to relax slightly when he sees Verdlith. Maybe he recognizes a friendly face, all things considered. And he says, "Yes, the business with the Fey Court has been concluded, and I am pleased to report that I have indeed been afforded a higher rank. I am now an Earl of Winter, one of the higher honors that can be bestowed upon one who is not part of the High Fae."
What
Well-
does it mean exactly?
Oh, Valignith, you rush ahead. Before you answer that, Tyrexos, allow me to congratulate you for something that you have surely earned before this point.
Raxos gives a slight bow and says, "Thank you for the kind words, Verdlith. I am, as I said, pleased by this development. I am sure that this will be beneficial for me and, by extent, for all of us moving forward." It's over to Valagnith. For what it means exactly, I am afraid are too detailed and complicated for me to go into here and with you, Valagnith. Suffice to say that I now compel a no small amount of political pressure within the Fey Court. I can demand things of a creature lesser than me. I can command things below my rank, and I can summon servants of air and darkness should I require it.
Don't misunderstand my questions as mere curiosity or even jealousy. It's just I've been thinking about this whole fake court thing. It's a bit like the whole, infernal deal, isn't it? With ranks and such. And I assume it also means that those who are strong would rather not have to contend with more rivals of equal or higher rank, which might or might not mean physical or magical altercations. So, fights, conflict, plenty, I'm sure, which you will end up facing alone. I will not be there to help you if it should come to that, and that worries me.
Vertolith contributes and says, Velignev is just upset because he loves a good fight, would not want to miss it.
Draxus snorts and says, as it stands right now, I am in no direct conflict with any of them. But it is a constant cloak and daggers game, one that I have Phaedron assisting me maintaining. My rank has been given to me by the queen herself. It cannot easily be taken away. Although, challenged, certainly. But see the trick. He holds up the claw, and you see like his shadow sort of split and move oddly on the cave wall behind him. Is that, well, power, these creatures and power in general, lies where, well, people and creatures believe it lies. He looks to the shadow. For example, a shadow on the wall is sort of how it is. If they believe I am in favor with the queen, they will keep their distance. Moves, the shadow like flits back and forth. And besides, my shadows can kill. And I do cast a very large shadow.
Well, these metaphors are nice and all, and I'm sure they are. I'm just going to stop there. I'm just going to suggest that if you expect that a conflict might take place, make it somewhere around here, why don't you? Just so we are actually able to do anything about your potential demise, which would inevitably affect all of us.
Small smile creases Tyrax's maw, and he says, I will do my best to draw any opponents here, so that we can all face them together. Yes.
And do make sure that your perception of yourself reflects reality, don't you?
Vertolith, like her head recoils. What does that mean?
It means that thinking oneself as strong is very different from proving yourself to be strong.
Tyraxus looks over to Velignev, lowers his head slightly, and says, and have I failed to prove myself strong to you, Velignev?
Not recently.
There's a sufficiently awkward silence between the three dragons. Pretty good.
Like the way a serpent, like it's like on his way out, then like it goes like a meter out, and then like looks around, then slowly moves backwards, and back inside.
Vertolith says,
Shall we talk about more pleasant topics now?
Vertolith, like, blink at Velignev and says, pleasant. It's not quite what I had in mind, but I also didn't quite have in mind what you said. Looks towards Tilrexis.
Tyraxus is still looking at Velignev and says, There will be a day, Valignith, when you will pay for all of these insults.
Perhaps there will even be a day where you recognize these insults as the most genuine help you have been getting over these years.
Don't count on it.
I'm not. now-
Looks over to him again and says, "So, is there any other reason you came on to my domains except trying to entice more violence from me?"
Well, if you phrase it like that, no, actually, because I want to suggest a way for you to expand your empire, in fact. Our interests are very different, which means they are very compatible. I'm looking eastward, and I believe you were too.
Yes. Spell-scarred mobs. They need to be killed.
Well, killing them is an option, certainly. It won't get us much other than them being gone. I was more thinking about both Worm's Hamlet and Elm.
Right, so let's actually try explaining this in a reasonable way, as Tilraxos has not been in the loop. Tilraxos, would you please take a journey with the two of us? I would like to show you what has become of the refugees that have been streaming across the river.
That's perhaps easiest, yes.
Tyraxus looks over to Verdolith, nods, and says, "All right, let's take a bit of a flight, shall we?"
Yep, she launches herself upward and heads eastward.
Tyraxus
Well,
will follow.
It's not like northeasterly if we consider ourselves in relation to the map with fucking how things look out as other giant red mountains, but we're heading out of the valley, past the dam.
Yeah.
Past our fucking like fields of goats and whatever.
Fields of goats.
That's right, we're growing goats. That's what we're doing.
Yeah, they're doing very well. There's lots of goats. They're not heavy as the sort of the axe, so they don't sink as deep into the mud here. They can generally make it away. There's no massive predators hunting them. No ogres. Your dragons probably eat goats generally, but actually altogether, there's far less predators in this valley than there used to be.
Yeah, we've done a great job of pairing them. I don't like harpies might go after them, but like the harpies are also like having fun elsewhere too.
Yeah, the harpies have really spread out. There's a few of them here, and they're sort of more spread out than before. They really begin actually like taking the place into their own.
And there's not a whole lot of creatures around that hunt goats, so here we go.
Or harpies.
Or harpies.
Yeah, you can certainly move outside, out the valley. I mean, the dam is here, quiet and well, maybe not actually incredibly quiet, because it does seem like there's some people by it. But yeah, a small band seems to have made a bonfire next to it. Looks like humans primarily.
Okay.
Somewhat ragged.
Tolerable.
Yeah. Beyond that, though, there's the river, the bridge, the lake. You can see the sort of slight wall and roofs of Worm's Hamlet. The smoke of cooking probably rising up. Ruins of the eel fort in the distance. And indeed, because earlier you used the phrase like the change into the fields of Isengard, and that's probably some phrase I'm going to use here, because that's very much what has happened to sort of the northern area of the mountain range here. It is as the fields of Isengard. There are, not a lot of plant matter. It's all sort of like a lot of like smoke coming up from what is an increasing density of refugee camps to a critical point in the middle where there's like a very big camp pressed up against the mountains slightly. From there you can indeed see like bonfires and like you can smell grease and mud. and just squalor from a good distance. There's a lot of people here. The streams of refugees that once sort of walked past, really, down south, seem to have stopped and just begin sort of gathering in an ever-growing mob or horde up here. And, well, they're making it somehow. It certainly leaves like a blackened, ugly scar in the land where they're stationed, just due to the number of people. Basically, a festival grounds at this point.
Along that, we have like our
hygiene facilities or anything. As they seem to have been basically hunting and probably killing and chopping the wood of anything close to them as they sort of slowly expand in number.
along with that, we have like not just like our mass graves, but like the obvious examples, like them being like warped due to like the blue glints, like the blue flame that we end up seeing.
Yes. You see groups walking around, robed, ringing bells and that sort of thing. Certainly.
Fertilith, in viewing this expanse and showing Tilraxos it, along with Valignant once again says, as you can see, the refugees I had made mention of that have existed since our emergence out of our home tomb have congregated instead. This has only been a recent discovery. I've not had the time to look more into it, though I did consult with Amrath, the Druid of Malar, who assisted us in our initial forays into the valley, and the numbers and power here overwhelmed him, though he is certainly determined to kill them all, as he must to rid this place of corruption. But with more of them continuing to come as they seek asylum and then come here, the weak will be weeded out, the strong will remain, and then what's left will... I don't know. She waves a big claw towards, like, the hamlet, with, like, the scorch marks obvious in the palisade. In a short time, likely that. And then she gestures towards, like, the ruined dam. Maybe there. She gestures across, like, the huge, like, expanse of water towards Elm. Maybe there.
Elm, perhaps barely visible in the distance across the river, just because the tree in the damn middle of the town is so massive.
Yeah. It's thanks to that and us being so high up that, like, you can spot, like, that fucking massive thing on the horizon.
Golden leaves. Just
It makes me angry.
Did you say gold?
Like, what if we harvest the tree?
Yeah.
the elm trees in Elm, they have these sort of golden honeyed leaves.
Oh.
Even here, in the fucking, like, midst of, like, winter, it's so fucking awful and terrible.
Yeah.
Not for those damn trees.
They don't drop all their leaves.
Yes. I hope this provides further definition to whatever scheme Valignith wishes to drag you into.
Yes. Darkness will look down at the creatures. He, he'll turn to Birdlith and he will say, well, the Druid of Malar has been beneficial to us, and these spell-scarred wretches certainly have not. My initial thought is to side with the Druid on this. Yes, destroying them seems like the best option. Now he sort of looks to the village, the hamlet closest. Say, what do we actually know of it? Are they hostile towards us? We know that Elm is filled with heroes, and the most likely place for any form of resistance to our expanding territories. But what about this village? Points to Worm's Hamlet.
It has been so insignificant and beyond our concern that we have not devoted any attention at all about it. The most I imagine any of us know is that I took a flight beyond the valley, which is how I gleaned information regarding it as I did Elm, which I informed Valignith and Veristrix about only a short time ago regarding the living trees that sense dragons and are prepared to defend it. As for the hamlet itself, beyond the scorch marks and its small size, it appears as if it's wished to protect itself from the refugees before they started congregating together. And given the attacks, the scorch marks on the walls, it will be a short time before the village is ransacked and consumed by this mob of plague-ridden individuals. No matter their stance, they would undoubtedly be desperate enough to accept any assistance. The question is whether we care enough to preserve that little thing.
What if we just went there right now and asked, see what they have to offer to us?
She says, I would be amenable to this if they chose to fire bolts at us. Well, then they would not have to worry about being consumed by the plague.
Exactly.
Peers suspiciously at Worm's Hamlet, frowns deeply towards the plague camps. Fine. We can go and have a talk at Worm's Hamlet. I wouldn't mind something groveling in front of me.
Though what they could actually offer us to be of worth or merit, I struggle to think of.
It would make a suitable forward base for an attack on Elm, a outpost for your trading empire, Taraxos, although a small one. It, in the grand scheme of things, is an insignificant little hamlet, and little more than that. But in the end, we do need to start somewhere with our plans.
Taraxos nods slowly and says, well, way to run an empire is power, military might, and information. And setting up channels for information is very important. I am certainly interested in doing that in any and all settlements around our home territories. That way we can have a net of spies and informants as a protective barrier around us. We'll be able to catch a lot of things trying to slip into our domains. And maybe earn a few coins doing it.
Verlith begins to slowly turn to start flying away from being over the plague camps towards Worm's Hamlet. I'm going to be on the lookout to see if there's any place inside the hamlet where 3 large-sized creatures could land.
Yeah, I mean, as you fly over, the general outlook again, there's no walkway on the wall.
Right.
There's a wooden gate in it. The city is actually pretty spacious. There's a well area. There's a couple of houses scattered here, a couple of houses there. Still, the wall was built around an area that's bigger. You can see some of the houses have been taken apart in one area to, basically for materials, most likely. The stones can be reused and such to repair things after storms and whatnot. There is this particularly large area of open ground, if you will, that seems to be sort of in the middle, in front of a sort of the most ornate building in the town. Sort of a large double. It's hard to tell what it is from up here, but it certainly is big. Looks like a large sort of multiple story manor-ish house.
Verla says, let us not bother then with landing outside the gate and knocking on it as if this were the monastery and we were smaller creatures. She points towards the big fucking house. We will land in front of that.
I have no objection.
And that is what Verlith intends to do, drawing ever closer towards the hamlet and, getting closer to the ground instead of further away.
Certainly spot it. As you slowly circle around. 3 dragons is no
I know, it's not just one dragon flying over this time, it's 3.
It's a tyranny.
Triumvirate.
The tyranny has arrived. Throw
Romance
yourself.
Romance the 3 dragons.
Oh no! Wow.
Yeah. As you come down, you can see most common people sort of running away.
Oh yeah.
Just fleeing the scene. These dragons, as they
I'd fucking do that too. Like, oh my god, what the hell?
as they come down. Here, some decent. As some others, individuals like there's clearly commotion down there. I don't know how much the dragons actually care about where people are going. I mean, what does that
Yeah,
really
that
matter to
can-
them?
It's
Run
important
away.
that they scatter. Yes,
Yeah. A lot of them do, but there are some that sort of
the
seem to
frozen in
remain
panic and terror.
go to running about, probably with like you can see some people getting like buckets ready to stop
Buckets?
fires if need be.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thought we were gonna attack us with the buckets. I'm like, what? Excuse me?
Get them!
Extinguish the dragons.
Throw water at the dragons. They hate that.
We're gonna create a dragon onsen, everyone, where we all just like come in to relax.
Oh, that's very nice.
No, you crash bang land down on the far too large square for a city of this size. It looks like the kind of square where once there might have been a market or some such. Well, there certainly isn't now. What is here is a small collection of defenders who bravely remain in place as the dragons, or even gather up as the dragons land. A couple of sort of what looks like past their prime armed and armored guards. A couple of what seems to be villagers with sort of well, I mean they have spears. They have spears, and then a what looks like another sort of older, past his prime soldier over here with a crossbow, and sort of 2 dogs on a loose latch chain. As the dogs basically whimper and try to draw back as the dragons land, like so.
For Liftland, the ground shuddering, especially as like all 3 dragons like come down.
Yeah.
Takes a deep breath.
The older guards seemingly stern and ready, though it's clear that they would not. They seem skilled, but also again past their prime and certainly not up for fighting like 3 dragons. There might be more of these soldiers, though. Looking at the village size, probably not many more.
Verdalith rotates her wide head to look at Tilraxus and Velignith and asks in Draconic, "Would you 2 like for me to converse with the pawns today?"
Draxos nods slightly and says, "Why not? You have a propensity to." He looks at these like the dirty peasants and whatnot, and it's like, yes. Your words would probably have the greatest impact, at least for now.
Velignith?
I think my words might have too much of an impact.
Verdalith says, "Agreed." She rotates to look at the pawns, if not prey. She tries to think what would she do if she were a meek, scared creature confronted by 3 beings of awesome power?
Yeah, I mean the militia people, they look like, I mean, if they actually escalate to a fight, they probably just run. The veterans raising their shields, they know that they could not run this. They seem to just be ready, trying to be ready to block the breath of flame or death or whatever comes out of dragons' mouths these days.
Verdalith.
Well,
Go ahead, Manikai.
yeah, while the guy with the crossbow over here has it loaded but not pointing at the dragons, he's actually like almost using it like a cane, like a large heavy crossbow as he's like resting on it while like lowly in a low voice, like speaking to the dogs, like tell them that it's okay, like trying to calm them down from their state of dragon fear.
Verdalith then. Her body begins to swivel. She looks towards this meager collection of humans and says in her ever so pleasant and reasonable voice, although since it's coming from a dragon, that's interpretation, says, "Why, afternoon, and a fortunate day for this hamlet of yours, for we did not come here intending to harm you."
There's, I mean, they probably don't believe you.
Of course not. I wouldn't fucking believe me.
The Lignith will end. If we were here to harm you, you would already be dead.
That does not calm anyone down, as the man with the dogs and the crossbow sort of steps forward a little bit. Like the dogs again, like kind of pulling the other way. As he just like looks at the dragons and looks at his guards, looks at the militiamen with their spears. They stand there like shaking, like pointing spears and sort of slowly walking backwards. He is skilled enough to know. I mean, all of them know that there's no winning. They could not do it. Somewhere, some villagers ringing like a bell for alarm. Though, who knows what kind of things they actually have here beyond these people. He looks to Verdalith. It's of an awkward distance for him to shout, but he doesn't seem to be eager to get closer. I just says, "We surrender. Step back, man. There's no need for you to die for this." These people eagerly do so.
Verdalith gently begins to ease around Telraxos and into the space which has been vacated. This man, this leader type, he doesn't seem to like eager to get close, but Verdalith can help him with that. About here.
He like steels himself, like tenses up. As she gets close, like he's making an effort to not step back immediately. As the dragon comes closer, like he can almost smell its breath and large creature.
Verdalith says, "It is doubtless you have heard tales of us and the changes that have gone on in the nearby valley over the past." She like struggles, like her like eyes narrowing. "Sometime 2 years. And indeed, the Serpentine Earl was felled, and the ogres and giants which plagued the environs are no more. We would know, we ate them."
He nods, but I mean, could you give me an insight check here?
Yeah, I'll do an insight for you. Why not? 120. 12.
All right, yeah. It's hard to see what he's feeling beyond fear with that. No.
Great. That's what Verdalith wants. She sees in him what she wants. Says, "Yes, but of course, when one group of angry monsters, bandits disappears. Another ends up taking their place. We've seen your walls, little ones. And we've seen the scarred creatures outside.
He nods slowly, probably trying to find his voice, being this close to Verdalith and the others. Trying to basically like making himself breathe. He's been holding his breath. Being this close just makes an effort to try to be able to like say something, but
Verdalith continues, "Where would you have gone? Had we been hostile, fled outside the palisade to take your chances in the wilderness, with all of that gathering beyond your walls? And yet, if we were not to have arrived at all, and things continued as they did, then you know that one day, soon, the blue flames would cover that palisade, and there would be nothing stopping them from coming in here."
he manages to nod in sort of a nervous manner.
"We have arrived to inform you that we do not wish for this hamlet to be consumed in blue flame. We will expend a modicum of our immense power and effort to see that doesn't happen, and spare you all the spell plague and its remnants."
Sort of lets out basically like a gasp. Again, a man who's held his breath for really far longer than he should. Thank you. We'll pay you. Just if you will leave the people here alone.
Verdalith says, "Of course, but why don't you," and she gestures like a wide sweeping claw towards him and then these others, "try to gather the people here in the square? When we speak, we do not wish to repeat our message and want to ensure that everyone in the hamlet understands what will be happening in the coming time."
Give me like a diplomacy check here.
Yeah, I'll do a diplomacy check. Any modifiers to this?
No, I think just give me a diplomacy check.
Okay.
He it's hard to trust the dragon when dragon says gather all the people in the square.
Right.
But
Now
it's
you
not
all are
something-
together, and I will scoop
Yes,
you all up into
now
my
I can
mouth.
conveniently devour.
33,
Oh.
man, okay?
Okay, yeah, that's pretty good. Verdalith manages to convey somehow some bit of that perhaps the dragon is sincere in its desire to not devour everyone. Perhaps it is the desperation, the many nights he's had
Staring at like
Unwatched.
the blue glints.
thinking about what he can do. The times he's had the yells over the walls from the recruiters coming here. He shudders slightly, shaking his head at what has become of him. If he had been younger, perhaps he could have done more, but, well, he looks around the city, the sorry state of the village. He looks to Verdalith and nods. I'll make sure it's done.
Verdalith says, "Wonderful. Do not strain yourselves too much in gathering them, but we do have other affairs to tend to."
Yeah. He nods as basically what's like another contingent of the well, if you will, the rest of the guard arrives from another side of the gate, moving in. Similarly, it appears to be 6 more people and 2 dogs. as they come in.
And this is where our
Stop.
cunning scheme to attack them with the cultists outside comes into play.
Stopping up as he sort of looks to Verlith and gingerly sort of walks over, letting the dogs run over here, not wanting to drag them along.
Verlith appears amused by these creatures running away from her.
She walks over and just says, "Gather everyone in the village. Everyone. Gather them here. Make it quick." The guards looking at each other, taking a moment perhaps to consider the order before going
Right.
to see it done.
Gather everyone to be devoured by the 3 dragons. I understand. Tough ask. Verlith will mosey on towards Tilraxos and Velignith while we wait. She says in Draconic, the way our message can get across at once, they will understand that we will have future expectations of them, whether it's Velignith's lizard folk coming in with their behemoths, or Tilraxos wanting to build and construct something here, or whatever it may be. They are desperate. And at this moment in time, they have been left out here by whatever larger government they have to die to those cultist plague people, whatever out there. We are their only hope.
Draxos smiles and he says, "Yes, this is perfect. We can show them the benefits of working for us, and we can show others the benefits of working for us. For yourselves to the tyranny, and there will be ample rewards." As he looks towards, one of the dogs licks his lips. If a dragon has lips, I'm not sure, but
Winter has cursed you with lips.
oh no, big lips.
But they're ever like cracked.
Yeah. Damn
When he
it.
breathes, it like flaps.
Oh man, more lizard man is gonna have to be lip balming me constantly.
That's what the snake guy's for.
Yeah.
Verlith will perform her favorite tactic, though. She is the best at waiting. She is waiting champion among the tyranny of dragons.
Oh.
If there's someone who can wait better than her, I've not found him.
No, there isn't.
Takes probably we'll probably just move them
Yeah, and you
as the
can
dragon
move
probably
us if you'd
move a little
like.
bit.
Yeah, there you
as,
go.
as they sort of take you could imagine the rest of the people gathered behind, like the fighting force of the city, mighty as it is.
Raxus looking upon them as one might look upon an anthill or a litter of puppies, or something else that is small and disorganized and weak.
As one might look at a litter of puppies, you say.
Mm-hmm.
I know they're so adorable. Look at them.
Like an anthill.
Yeah.
There's again a good handful of people here, maybe like 100 in total. A mix of young, old, all seemingly afraid, clutching their things, holding their children tightly close to them. It is what seems to be a sad gathering of scared people that look upon the 3 dragons that have marshaled them out of their homes.
Yes.
As they do. There's another man who sort of stepped up next to old Ronald here. He seems to be he came from the big house here, and he seems to confer slightly with old Ronald in like a low whisper. He's using a cane as well.
Okay.
Or his legs seem to be old, though his hands seem to be very skilled. They're not a fighter's hands. They're sort of... He carries himself with weight. Slightly balding, limp. But finely dressed, even if the fine clothes are clearly old. Yeah. As almost, of course, this is everyone.
Verdliff says, "Very well. You lead these people in this hamlet?"
I lead the militia. He sort of gestures to the old man next to him. This is Nadvin, the founder of this hamlet. He's is the closest we have to a leader.
Verdliff looks at Nadvin, sizes him up. He's obviously not a fighter, as you mentioned.
No.
He's also leaning on a cane. Okay, keeps that in mind.
He give me an insight roll. Should I look at him?
Sure,
This old guy.
do that for you. Sure. 24.
Oh, yeah. He seems to not be as old as he appears right now. It seems that these troubles have really weighed heavy on him. It's been some hard years recently.
Yeah, I imagine so.
However, he also looks to Verdlith, and while many look to her in sort of a half turned away fear, like they're staring death into the face, what he sees, he clearly is some sort of has some academic knowledge of dragons, at least in some fashion. As his gaze moves around her body more in sort of a measuring manner, perhaps.
Okay.
Not her strength, but weirdly her scales, her nose horn, these sorts of things. His eyes moving between the different dragons. A strange intelligence sort of peering out under the old eyes.
All right. Verdliff says, well, nothing. She puffs. A little cloud of acrid smoke appears. She rolls her shoulders, her considerable bulk shifts, and says, "Then I shall begin so as to expedite this process. Little ones, we three are a tyranny of dragons that are in the nearby Serpent Valley. We are the reason why there have been no ogres and giants and orcs marauding over the hills and outside of late, though I doubt you have been threatened much by them behind your walls. If we sought your ruin and to harm you, we would simply have not appeared at all, for this hamlet is under dire threat. You stand before us, shaking and afraid, yet you know very well that there is danger just as great, danger can threaten this hamlet just beyond the palisade, and a group of people, of scarred individuals, that is growing ever bigger and bigger. Fortunately for you all, this tyranny does not want these spell-scarred people gathering outside the valley, and you so happen to be outside this valley, and so we are inclined to spare you, and are informing you now that we will be taking measures to resolve these spell-scarred individuals on our own. Of course, you're going to still be out here, outside the valley, and thus within our interests, we would like to make sure that nothing comes to harm this place in the future.
Nadwin, the old man, sort of steps forward. Old Ronald gives him a look, as if pleading for him not to. But seemingly not in the authority to stop him from speaking. As he comes forward and says, "And we will pay you in return as we did with the ogres before. Yes? Protection."
Verdliff says, "Something like that, though what we would ask of this hamlet is much different than what the ogres and bandits would ask of this hamlet. Looking around, we can see you have nothing in the way of money."
He nods slowly.
"And we certainly are not looking to eat any of you as those bandits would. Try convincing an ogre otherwise.
Yeah, he seems unsure of how much he wants to say.
Mm-hmm.
I should have stepped forward now, make himself the point here. We just draw on it a little bit. We have some things we can trade for our safety, if need be. Mostly we've paid with food, fish. In the past with my own creations. But the sources have run dry. I don't think we're likely to find more. Not where we can get it, regardless.
This man has volunteered something that has piqued Vertila's interest. She says, your own creation?
Nonsense. Yes, sir. With the worms.
The what?
Yes. Leans forward.
Ronald sort of looks at him again with like the wish that he wished this old man would just shut up.
I know now all three dragons are like looking
Yes.
at this old man specifically like,
Yes,
go
like-
on.
Like moves his mouth. Apparently, he has trouble keeping it dry these days. Wiping a little cloth to it. I might be old, but my hands are still strong. The village here, Hamlet, he sort of gestures around. Once it was a grand state. Founded it. It started out just being my workshop, just behind him. Nestled here where the wind doesn't blow as strongly as elsewhere along the water. Others have come. Good old Ronald here, he has been my guard for many years. I fear I cannot pay him what I used to. I think this has become a home to us all. There's little reason to stay at this point.
Merlith hails, looks around. Your estate, your workshop, what did you used to make?
I created marvelous things. He says, probably with a bit of a light in his eyes, as if this is something he's proud of. He really has a passion for that crafts. I have shapen armor, spears, lances, bows aplenty, arrows. He said again. He seems then to think about what he's about to say and like gets a little like nervous. Really. The most exquisite material I have ever seen. I came here. It was found, and I found it. I mastered the creation and crafts with it. He sort of again nervously wipes his mouth. Dragon bone. The scales for armor. It was there. No one had used it.
I think, as one player to the other too, I'm willing to let this linger as like an uncomfortable silence the moment he admits this. Just like all three of us staring at him. What do you two think?
Yeah, basically, Valignov had been like looking around, looking at the buildings and such. He hasn't really seen those up close a lot, so that was kind of curious. He could listen like without looking at the people, but now he's like focused on this guy, not really sure how to react to that. The fact that he was a craftsman who thinks of themselves rather highly got his attention, but now he's not sure what to think.
What do you think, Jonas?
There is suddenly a shadow that comes over to Raxos, as if darkness or gathers around him, and maybe he tenses up, seemingly heavily considering of just ripping this guy's head off for the sacrilege of using dragons as building materials.
I mean, if they were weak enough to be available for him to use, then why not, right? Vertilith, after like this uncomfortably long silence, says, You have proclaimed something in front of this tyranny that all three of us take an interest in. Before I continue relating our designs and intents towards all of your people, we would like to see this proud moment of yours and judge your words, for we want to know whether you are being false with us. Show us.
He sort of holds his breath almost as if he feared that this might come to it. As he says, there is no more bones. I've taken it all, I fear, in the time. The site, it was out. He sort of gestures a bit. There's a place where the beach and the sand has been ripped up. An old fight, I think. We dug in the sand, it was soft, and there were bones of 2 dragons, large, having at some point lost themselves in the waters. The water has withdrawn now, and we found them there. There are vicious creatures that seem to have feasted on the meat for generations, but the scales, the bones, they were still usable. Teeth. There might still be more, but we could not dig further. There's creatures in the sand that we could not acquire more. So the money has dried up, mostly.
Is there no example of your craftsmanship here, within this hamlet, then, to prove what you claim?
There is one thing. I kept one.
Show it.
Old Ronald seems like this is news to him. As he apparently has gone unpaid for a while. As you will give me a moment, I have hidden it.
Randolph says, "Of course."
As he will move his way back to the workshop, taking a moment for turning.
Thelignov, meanwhile, in Draconic to the others. I hadn't even considered using Dragon Scale. I mean, how would I even? But it makes a lot of sense. Do you think metallics are made out of metal?
Verlith, in replying in Draconic, says, "You would have a better understanding than I would, but perhaps you may be able to squeeze some value out of this craftsman's work, and understanding as you have with that Azer in your lair. And the site may have resources of value that these weak creatures could not find."
Yeah. After a bit of moment, the villagers sort of awkwardly standing around.
All their lives put on hold for this.
Yeah. Yes, until he comes back with sort of something large wrapped in like a black cloth, velvet. It appears, silk perhaps. Having let go of the cane to carry it, walking a little slower, but seemingly not having too much of a need for the thing. Probably more of a tick. I think he's getting used to. As he comes up with it, stepping like over here next to
Okay.
old Ronald. Before he begins unpacking the bundle, finely wrapped. He moves it very carefully. What he reveals is a long blade of a white, shining material. It has slight cracks in it that, from the looks of it, seems to have almost like a liquid core to the thing. As he holds it out slightly. It looks like the fang of a dragon that's a size larger than you. Large, long, and carved into an immaculately made blade. Upon its side are sort of small runic indentations and ornaments. A masterful piece of craftsmanship.
narrows her eyes, and she is pointedly like moving up, towards, him, towards Nadwin, and of course old Ronald by proxy.
Mm-hmm.
Like her head dipped, like staring and scrutinizing the thing.
He looks at Verdlith as he closes his hand on the hilt, and almost visibly strengthens as the power of a dragon sort of runs through his hand.
Hmm.
Though
This
he
was his
seems
moment. He
far
will
too
step.
weak to actually wield it properly.
Hmm.
As he breathes out, "It is my finest creation. I would be..." Sort of breathes out, before he again reluctantly looks around to the people gathered here, and then holds out like the blade for Verdlith to inspect.
Okay.
As if part of him just wants to take it and hide it somewhere deep where no one else can get to it. He loves this thing.
Verdlith like looks at it and like shifts her eyes towards like Valignif until Raxos.
Traxxas still looks quite angry.
Valignus is already like crawling forward.
Verdlith in Draconic says, "I am inclined to let him keep it and his life, but by all means, Valignif, see how good his craftsmanship is."
Oh yeah, Valignus definitely wants to take a look. This guy is for real.
She'll move back to allow Valignif room.
What is there?
Well, that would ordinarily be an Arcana check. But, I suppose for Valignith, we can. He is a smith by trade. He can make magical things himself. And so I think if you could give me a intelligence check, just based on that.
Well, that is equivalent to my Arcana check, so find out. Okay.
Yeah, you can recognize what this thing would be. It appears to be a dragon tooth blade, which is a very expensive and high level magical item. It's a +3 enchantment. It has several effects regarding critical hits and marking, and it is most certainly worth a good treasury in pure value. It is a masterful craft. Certainly for just a human mortal to make something like this is not the kind of craftsman you find like twice in a kingdom. This man is very right to be proud of his work, though he again, as he said, is out of material to ply here. Bone crafting is probably a specific art that he might not have too much.
Yeah, Valignif doesn't really answer the silent question of how valuable this thing really is. He's sort of, maybe that's not the right word, but it's close enough, like purring as he sees something that very much interests him, which is perhaps answer enough.
Verdlith eyes Valignif.
The old man looks up to the dragon that clearly seems to inspect the thing and not like just covetously, but appreciate the craftsmanship. And it's hard to. He maybe feels a slight bit proud that he can make a dragon like behave such a way.
Valignif will almost look like he's going to address the man directly before sort of stopping himself. turning slightly towards Verdalith and Raxus instead, saying in Draconic, I want this man and his creation.
Verdalith, go ahead, Jonas.
Raxus raises his head up and says, "You realize that this man and all of his village is built upon sacrilege of using our kind as a trading merchandise good."
If I killed another dragon, I would certainly try to turn his corpse into something useful. I understand where your thoughts are coming from. These tiny creatures benefiting from the death of our kind, but it would be sad to let those thoughts.
These mewling idiots are holding out a piece of one of our ancestors that they have, like, looks at it with contempt. They have profited from our deaths.
And we shall profit from the things they've learned from it.
Raxus looks over to Verdalith.
Verdalith appears, and she will confirm with her own voice. She says, I am unbothered by what he specifically has done with Dragonbone. It is a curiosity that a pawn such as he is able to create something like this. And she'll cast a glance over her body at him. Says, he will not live long anyway, nor will anyone in this hamlet. It is good for us to know that such a thing is possible, that even such weak and simple creatures can create something like this, and can indeed make this place more useful to us. They are not simply weaklings. There is at least one person here of worth, which has made this journey here worthwhile. If I could make a proposition to the two of you, she points at the fang. I would say we let the old man keep this fang of his until his death, at which point it passes on to us. That is but one of the tributes we will exact upon this hamlet. It will make him want to help Velignith in any way possible. It will ensure that we get one of all of the prizes that are so justly ours. She furls out her nostrils, and who knows, when he's so properly motivated, maybe there's other secrets he's not telling us. If not, Toraxos, well, we can destroy the village anyway. It doesn't matter whether we do it today or 100 years from now.
Raxus thoughtfully rakes his claws over the stones. Says, fine. The old man lives for whatever few years he has left.
Verdalith looks towards Velignith. You find this agreeable? When he dies, eventually, that will fall into our possession anyway.
It's not only about possessing it, although I have to admit I want it. I want it. I really do want it. I also want him to tell me how he made it.
Mm-hmm.
And for that, he'd have to come with me, obviously.
Verdalith says, then I think I can resolve this in a way that will satisfy us and ensure this hamlet is in our control.
Well, if you think you could do that, then go ahead.
Verdalith extends a claw, like towards Velignith, like an empty claw to take the fang from him.
But he will hand it over, although obviously slowly, hesitantly, as if he's like thinking about just taking it and flying away. I mean, he probably could, but
Mm-hmm.
like it's almost physically painful to give away something that he really wants.
Then it would derail his own dreams of what he wanted to do with his Hamlet. The other dragon, son of a bitch. Vertiliv takes it, and for like a flicker, like the same idea of like, wow, this is really valuable. Like crosses her face before she pointedly like looks towards Nadwin and Ol Ronald and points at Ol Ronald and says, "What is your name?"
You'll just call me Ronald.
Ronald, step forward, please.
He does.
I know. And she says the please, and possibly like a patronizing way. She like beckons a claw closer.
She steps a bit closer.
Okay. She gets like really close.
I don't like that. But he's like,
And,
he just does the thing where he stiffens up and like looks forward, but like he doesn't really like he's trying not to see. Like,
Okay. She peers at Ronald and says, she looks at him, she looks at Nadwin, and says, "Founder of this hamlet, you have impressed the tyranny with your crafts. But we also express our distaste. It is an affront to our honor, and it is a payment we will exact specifically from you." She looks towards Ronald. "As to you specifically," and she extends the fang blades, or like a hilt first, towards him. "You have pleased the tyranny. As such, for as long as you live, you will be our voice here and speak on our behalf. When you do so, it is as if the tyranny has spoken through you, the hamlet, and you will carry this fang with you until your dying days, at which point it shall be given back to us."
yeah, he'll accept it.
"You may step back now, Ronald, voice of the tyranny."
He does so, though he looks to Nedwin. It's clear that this whole I had my greatest creation hidden all these years has strained their relationship some.
Mm-hmm. "You, Nadwin, crafter of Dragonbone, step forward."
He is more reluctant, perhaps a less brave man than Ronald.
And she wants to make it obvious that she is like far less kind towards him than she was towards Ronald.
As he walks past Ronald sort of pats his shoulder and gives him like some small word of comfort.
Like,
as the old man like gulps and steps forward, leaning more heavily on the cane than he certainly did with the blade.
"Nadwin, as I express, what you have created has caught our interest and proved your words true. But the material used of some concern. There is a penance that you specifically must pay. Consider this a tribute on behalf of the hamlet, which, of course, you could refuse if you'd like." She gestures towards Valignith. "He wants to know more. And if it's a resource-specific thing, that will not be an issue. For what's left of your days, or until Valignith no longer wishes it, you will assist in his matters with your fine hands and skilled knowledge. Do you accept?"
Sort of stammers a little bit, like feeling very alone, having stepped in front of everyone. No longer any guards or anyone sort of in front of him and between him and the dragons, basically. She just like glances back at his workshop and all his tools, and like she like looks around. And just he clearly like trying to find an argument he could make as to why he should stay here, but as well being too afraid to make an argument to the dragon. So he'll just nod and swallow once more.
You have until she looks up the sky. We'll say something like sundown or whatever, like is like to gather whatever possessions you deem appropriate and of value to bring with you. Carrying will not be a concern.
He just sort of nervously stammers something as he stands there.
You are dismissed until the sun sets, at which point you will come with us.
Yeah, I think he just at the words dismissed. I think he halfway collapses before like pushing himself back up for the cane, beginning to slink back to his workshop. Leading glances at the worm-toothed blade now held by Ronald in his hand.
Verlith looks towards Ronald and says, "Voice of the tyranny, we may call upon you in the future, but for the time being, know that we are pleased with this hamlet being here, and we will handle these spell-scarred individuals beyond. Should we have any concerns, though, we shall come to you."
He nods. Clearly he's a man of some principles who doesn't like a person being taken as tribute.
Mhm.
But he also recognizes that he has to do what he can to save everyone else.
And that's very much what she's making clear that this is. Says, "Then you may dismiss your people to go on about their lives, Ronald."
He nods and turns around. Bring everyone back inside. We don't want those outside to see we've been left defenseless. Back to your posts, everyone. The show is over. He's strained. He's tired. He's probably going to have trouble sleeping after letting dragons take Nadvin away.
Mhm.
It's like the two of them have known each other for most of their lives.
I know, like a tough day for him, like Nadwin's betrayal there, and then this.
Couldn't believe the old man had such a treasure hidden. Just for the dragons to know, it's worth 21,000 gold,
Yeah,
and certainly that's a lot to a hamlet if it was to be sold in Westgate.
that's more wealth than any of us individually have in our treasure.
That's
like counting our magic
that's
items.
a lot of us for us as well. Yeah.
And the betrayal of things being this dire, while Nadvin had kept such a thing to himself for pride, really.
Yep. Hopefully that colors like the fact that we're taking him a bit differently in their eyes. You know,
Oh,
like
Probably
wow.
wouldn't have let that go down
Oh,
unless
yeah.
unless that's just shaken. He probably will question that for a long time if he should have made a stand here and died, if that was the right thing to do, or like, you know.
I like to think
But
that some of the draconic spirit rubbed off on the old man. You know, the greed for the treasure.
I know. You like Manikai depicted how like his expression changed when he grabbed onto it as if, yes,
Yeah.
I have the power now. And we're like, that's hubristic.
it looks to be a black dragon's.
As the crowd is dispersed, and we await for Nadwin to say his final goodbyes, Verlith looks towards her compatriots and asks in Draconic, "Was that satisfactory?"
I think so. I wouldn't have phrased it as you did, and people would have probably gotten angry at me more, so it's a good compromise.
That's why we don't let you do any talking, Magnus.
I do recall the kobolds, Valignith.
That's
Correct,
why
just
I
nods.
let you not let me do any talking.
Verlith snorts and says, "It was a good idea to directly come and speak with these people, to see this potential value, and that you might squeeze some more out of him. Valignith, better that this value be something we know about and control, than in the hands of one of those spell-scarred, horrid, disgusting." She trails off and words of derision.
Yeah.
that.
Sorry.
She has a follow up with that, and it also means that we're able to secure our hold here. That Ronald looks like he'll be eaten up by guilt for the rest of his days about this, but they did not put up a fight against us, which is exactly what we want. Their children in time will know nothing but subservience to us.
Yes, they're children. Although that might be... I honestly don't know how... Well, it doesn't matter. Suffice to say, I would like to see Elm burn sooner rather than later.
We do have a whole mob of Spellscarred maniacs outside. If we can point them towards Elm, that'd be...
I suggested that to Valignith as well, but he has a fetish with burning it down himself. You know how he is.
Well, if Elm's defenses are as formidable as we think, seeing them from a distance, the wave of the Spellscarred refugees might be enough of a distraction, but might not be enough to rob the satisfaction of actually burning the city.
She snorts and says, "You are welcome to take a flyover yourself, as I have done. I will not be joining you on that. I have seen enough of Elm to know I do not wish to do what you wish to do to it."
Well, unfortunately, just seeing Elm's defenses isn't really enough to really understand. It's difficult. How would you judge the strength of defenses if not by attacking?
She shakes her head. This is a point in contention in their ideals.
Of course, there might be a compromise possible. It probably would not be easy to direct these refugees to do as we'd like while they still have leadership. If we both removed their strongest elements as well as those who are responsible for the group's cohesion, then they would not only be easier to control, but also less of a threat. Perhaps still enough of a threat, however, to remove some of the teeth that Elm has.
Draxus shrugs slightly and says, depends on what they want. Desperate creatures, hungry, alone. I think they could potentially be cajoled, bribed, lied to enough to attack Elm with or without a leader. I haven't seen anything to indicate that anyone who is spell-scarred is any type of stable person or anything to that effect. They mostly just seem deranged.
Well, I wasn't so much thinking about convincing them or lying to them or any of that. I was more thinking along the lines of stampede, perhaps?
That's a long way to stampede.
Well, we are patient.
That's one more thing, Manikai. Vertiliv will say, better that you herd those refugees as if they were animals than trying to herd animals into them.
Well, that is what I mean. We take out their leadership, we scare them towards the general direction we want them to walk. We are faster than them, we can fly.
You having waited a bit, this conversation continuing. In the evening, as things begin, Mavis been collecting his things. You do hear again what is basically the alarm bell come from the direction of the gate. As some of the militia people run in that direction. Again, people having brought the buckets of water over here now bring them over to the gate. What seems to be an almost routine thing at this point.
Vertiliv inhales sharply. She looks off in the direction of where those people are running off to, and then she promptly takes off from the square, flying towards the palisade.
Velignov will follow. It would be a shame if this village was overrun the second it got under our control.
Jiraxis will follow us.
Outside, you see a what is quite clearly a group of people having sort of standing up. They all have like torches. Some of them have creepy hoods and the like. Seemingly somewhat organized, at least. Having apparently spent a bit of time, brought wood or such to build a fire. It is not right by the gate. It's certainly not so that though old Runnel might be the only man here with a decent ranged weapon, he seems to have his good eye is quite good, and so they seem to have set up a bit of a distance away. The scorch marks on the wall might have been where you can see from this side a ladder has been put up so that someone could climb it and then shoot from over the wall.
Mm-hmm.
As from out there, you hear like a bell ring as the fire begins to glow, and they clearly get ready to do what seems to be some sort of maybe like a ceremony or ritual out there.
No, we're not going to have anything of that.
Some people are watching.
I would like for Jiraxis to just crash through the fire, spreading it, sending it flying everywhere, and landing in front of them.
If you want to go here, then you can go here. Here.
We're going here.
Yes, and I will make the.
We met a gnome here once, Mike. We had a fight here between dragons.
Basically, I want Jiraxis to like crash down here, extinguishing the fire, sending them scattering in all directions.
Sure, you'll smash into the fire. People will step back, like retreating, and then I mean, that's probably. It seems like that's initiative.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Because they certainly are not going to react to that like super friendly.
All right, well, that's their death, really. Jiraxis was here to talk, but if they're attacking him, they die. Like, that's just how it is.
Well, does he say anything?
Yeah, no, he'll say, "Hold, you complete idiots," as he like crashes down onto like on the ground here.
Well, he certainly will give them a moment to like. Some of them step back. This guy steps back as well, as if he doesn't like rampage and begin to murder everyone.
No, he spreads his wings, the cold lacerating out.
A moment goes by, like a moment of silence before anyone reacts, right? Basically expecting the fight, really.
I am Jiraxis, Earl of Winter. He looks around imperiously. You stand before the village of William's Hamlet. It is under our protection. It is not for yours to take. Looks around if anyone wants to protest this immediately.
The Inquisitor, a man with a tall hat made of leather, who shows very little of his face, though what you can see under the heavy leathery robes is heavily scarred with sort of the bluish glinting, clearly painful scars he has under it. People seem to give him some respect. Most of the people here look like scared refugees. They have clear spell scars, most of them, and have sort of an erratic movement, as if they're basically full of fire and unable to really like control it a whole lot. Those who can control it back here are dressed similarly, but their scars are not flaring up as randomly, and they seem to carry themselves as more competent, wielding it like weapons of power. Clearly, the Inquisitor will look at Jiraxis and sort of say, "You misunderstand our intentions, I fear, mighty creature. We are not here to conquer, not here to destroy. We are here to give word to offer salvation for all. In our new city there shall be space and room for all creatures, for we can all be united by the blue flame.
Draxus snakes his head around and
We
says,
offer those who are here the chance, the opportunity to come and speak to us, to learn.
Draxus like cuts him off with a sharp jab of his claw and says, "The creatures here reject you. As I said, this is our domain and not for you to earn converts. If you are looking for a place that is welcoming to all sorts of creatures such as you, then we would point you towards the east, towards Elm, a city that is large and indolent, fat, ready for the taking. It is protected by no walls, nothing you would have to climb over. There is no archers to shoot you as you approach. If you are looking for more people for your growing community, Elm is the place."
But his hands wide. We welcome all peoples. Elm has
Yeah,
part of us as well as this.
T-Rex just like cuts him off again. "Yes, I heard, but go there and welcome all people there first." We'll try to, intimidate, bully this man to just back the F off. Not very subtle today.
Yep, yeah, sure. He certainly does seem it. I think he's just trying to let out some anger over the whole like the fairy thing, and then like this whole dragon bone thing.
There's a lot.
He needs to boss around some people.
Exactly. He needs to boss some people around. Like someone needs to just throw himself
right.
in front of him here.
He's all grovelers, but damn it, now he needs to like give orders and shit.
Yep.
That's one of his food groups.
It sure is. Let me see here. Intimidate. I'm
as a people person.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Show us your people skills.
Fairly decent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the man holds up his hand. You can see it has sort of. He doesn't have a glove on it, and it's sort of heavily, almost like sort of scar crusted, with this sort of bluish growth on it. As you wish, then, creature. We are friends to all beings who could join us. He says in a lower voice as he sort of gives a nod. We will make our leave, and I shall tell our leader of your interest and of your claim to this place. We did not know your affiliation. We have stayed outside the valley that you have called home. We wish no conflict between us.
Dragus nods. A wise decision. We do not wish conflict either. But as our community also grows, it will be beneficial and a sign of being a good neighbor if you would, as I said, go and do your proselytizing over there. He waves, a claw towards Elm.
Go knock on doors over yonder.
Mm-hmm.
The man bows again. We would not outstay our welcome here. But for the sake of future relations, I ask that you visit our mayor, so that he may help enlighten you. He seems to take pleasure in that word. To our ways, so that a peaceful coexistence and transition can occur.
Tell me of your mayor.
He is the leader of our community. His prophetic dreams tells us how to proceed. He is a great man, a visionary before his time. He tells of a place where we are not hunted, but cherished. He teaches skills, grants those without a scar the blessing the gods have given us. He spreads it, and he teaches how to control and master it. The power we have gained. We fled our homes as refugees, but now we stand prouder than any mage of old. The power is limitless, and he wields it better than anyone. He is our link to the great, vast, and we shall mirror it upon this world. Community for all.
What is his name?
He is Mayor Albrecht. And he is too kind.
So, does this great lead of yours reside over yonder? Traxxas points towards their camp.
He is sometimes within the camp, sometimes elsewhere in contemplation of the great things he sees.
Traxxas looks around. Contemplation. It's an open plain. Can't be many places for contemplation here.
You know, I am not enlightened for the inner circles.
Traxxas frowns at this religious mumbo jumbo. I see. Very well. Our message has been delivered.
Do not. Before I go, Lord Dragon, do not think this power is something we are not willing to share. We wish to share it with all. All can have a taste. All can enjoy it, as the gods intended, as they gave their lives to create it.
Yes.
Fear change. Fear new. Fear what's different. We should embrace change.
Your generous offer is noted. Our statement remains the same, and I will add, holds up a claw, that if you imply once more that I am afraid of you or your powers, I will kill you immediately.
He looks as if he's about to say something, and probably changes his mind to say something else. Which, as he again bows and moves a hand for the others to like pack up and begin going home, he will say, "Should I die, my lord, there will be hundreds to take my place."
Yes, but you won't be anymore, and that's all you care about, I suspect. Now go.
Mr. Jackson says that and looks at him. He gets the feeling that maybe this guy actually doesn't care too deeply about his own life, but more that of the community as a whole. Because he's been promised that should he die in service to the mayor, his death will simply be a part of joining the vast.
Reasoning with like
the goal after all.
These fervent religious folks is like reasoning with adventurers.
Yeah, it's just impossible.
As they will take their torches and go in like a nice torch bearing group on their way back to their camp.
Doctor snorts as he like kicks up down the fire as he walks through it, just stomping every last bit of it out.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was cathartic.
I would have never imagined that just telling them to go to Elm might actually get them to do it.
As you see, Valinith, you have to know what these crazies want and what they don't want.
I barely know what I myself want.
Traxxas nods wisely.
Verlith has a pleased expression on her face, looking at Tilraxos. And based on her attitudes, and that when you folks know about him, she's probably delighted she doesn't have to fucking fight anyone right now. It's great. She says, "These spell-scarred want the same as all of the other Spellscard we have encountered till Raxos. That includes those dwarves ever so long ago, to spread their gift. They think they are doing a good, and they would even share it with us. I think our attitude towards them is still the same as it was back then.
Oh, certainly. I'm just interested that they pack up and crash against the defenses of Elm. They can eliminate each other. And we can mop up whatever shreds remain.
I have no personal interest in meeting this Mayor Albrecht, though if you do wish to converse with the leadership in the camp, Valignith, by all means, that would be our opportunity. They would certainly be welcoming of any creature.
Raxos snorts again. I try to make him tell me where this mayor hangs out, where he does his contemplations. Alas, he didn't go for it, or he simply didn't know.
And I have no interest in talking to this leader or any of these people.
Raxos nods and says, of course not, but if we had learned where he goes for his solitary contemplation, we could have killed him easily.
Although, in retrospective, I think I misjudged these people a bit. They are not just refugees out to, survive. They've got a mission. And if we did kill that leader, which we undoubtedly could not do in a way that implicates anyone other than us, it almost seems likely that they would flood the valley instead as revenge or something.
Yes, it was one of my concerns with trying to, as you suggested, kill the leaders and herd them somewhere, because I simply believe that we couldn't control them in any measurable way. As I said, they are crazy. They're religious fanatics.
Verlif said, the conflict here has been resolved. Let us return back to the hamlet and wait for Valignif's new toy. Verlif will take off and meander back to the hamlet.
And I will be right back.
All right.
Though it is certainly not required for all three of us dragons to be here so that you can fetch your new pet toy thing. Verlif chooses to be anyway. Who knows? She might leave and you might find a way to burn down this fucking village anyway. Leave it to Valignith.
I mean, that would be very easy.
Yeah, it would.
Which also makes it less fun.
I guess so.
I'll be back as well then.
Alright.
All right.
Well then, fine. Viewers, hope you are doing well out there. Here in this
fine night.
This final session of October, because next Friday would be the 1st of November.
Wow.
And as a note for all of you kids watching at home, I will be absent next week. They will probably still have a session, unless someone else has an emergency thing happen. They will have to find a way to cope without their defender.
Yeah.
Ideally, that would be the time they choose to burn down Elm, since I'd be absent then, but I somehow suspect that will not be happening. I wonder what they're going to do with that, right?
I don't know.
I'm looking at the goals, and I'm like, How you doing, Manikai?
I'm doing all right. All right, really. Not too bad.
Yeah, young, full of vigor and energy here.
Wait, drink it.
Right.
Uh,
The sun hiding more and more as it gets darker and darker as it transitions to winter.
Dark time. I'll be back. You know what? I'm just gonna go get a drink too. Tell you what, everyone else.
Everyone leaves.
Wow, not including me as a part of everyone, Sheep. I see how it is. Yet another slight against me.
I mean, I don't know if you left or not.
The viewers know I didn't leave. Or do they?
Who cares about viewers?
You would say that. Manikai just stepped away to go get a drink. He was
Oh.
inspired upon Sheep's return to go get a drink, so he did.
All right then.
I mean, I got the opposite of a drink.
You know what? I guess I'm going to be fucking contrarian here now, and now that we've staggered these away things, I'm going to step away then too, Bakas.
Well. What's the opposite of a drink? Is that a pee?
Yes.
Okay. I figured it out. I solved your riddle, Sheep.
You know, it is quite interesting how much you can get done by just going places and shouting at people.
Yes, if you're a dragon and have enough intimidate, you can bully a lot of creatures around.
Like all this humming and hawing about how to infiltrate towns when we could just, show up and be like, hey, yo, what's up?
It works because the towns are small and isolated. It wouldn't work in Elm because
Oh, yeah.
too independent. There you would need to apply some sort of your sneakiness. Same with the what's it called where the Ogmarites hang out?
Yeah, that place.
That place, Red Vale? No, what was it called?
Not there.
Coast, like
Redwater? No. Redenza.
Redensir.
Or Redensir, or however you
yeah.
spell that.
Yeah. We can't just land in Redensir. And...
Not yet, anyways.
Not yet, no. True. Maybe
Soon.
when we're halfway through Paragon tier or something, we can just land there and be like, hey, guess what? But yeah, as I said, it's very cathartic. Just land in front of some complete idiots and just tell them, like, no, you're not, whatever you're trying to do, that is not happening.
I'm back.
Welcome.
Always target the leaders, they're the weakest.
I mean, you say that.
Got the Inquisitor to shut up at least.
Certainly.
What do we do next? That was the question.
All right, I'm back, so we can start the cycle of going away again.
Well, ideally now we need to let the Fellsguard people hopefully move towards Elm and start like engaging in some sort of battle or something over there. We'll have to keep an eye on it for a while and just get ready to exploit that. We have hopefully set something in motion that will profit us, but we just need to keep an eye on that for now. While that is happening, I'm not sure.
I mean, something. Oh, actually, I have an idea. How about we check out that beach where the guy got the dragon bones from?
Sure.
Probably should go do that.
Maybe we can get more info.
And find a fight.
Yeah, I mean bringing Nadvin and his things. He's brought a lot of his like crafting things. His like bedding, some food, like whatever he has really.
I'm going to lift his house, fly away with them.
And will be brought back to I assume Velignus.
Yeah,
Lair? Is that?
I'm perfectly fine with them having that one.
Yeah, I mean, while we're here, maybe we can plop him down somewhere safe, or leave him in the town for a little bit. While we check out that Dragonbone place.
Well, it's something that we can do while he's still gathering his things. So
yeah,
Yeah, you can certainly just fly along the beach here, and you will in a bit. I mean, it's not built right there, seemingly, but going along the beach, you can certainly find the area where the beach, the grass and ground here is like full of like, it's like smashed and a fight that happened here was massive, but it was clearly also long ago because trees are sort of growing in the holes and craters and what looks like what probably was old like dragon footprints and such. There's an area where it's clear that a dragon, I mean, now that you know what it is, has like smashed its back into the ground pretty hard. And, now there's like grass and stuff. Some raccoons are running, but looking over to where the water used to be, it's still just like a sandy sort of. It used to be covered in water probably, but now it's just sort of wet, lumpy sand that seems to quickly. Would you just step in it with your weight, you'd begin sinking in sort of a quicksand-like fashion, perhaps even to the point of drowning. It might be possible that were you to land in this like silty ground and just sort of wiggle around for long enough, you could get yourself entirely covered in it.
Seems like a terrible thing to do.
It doesn't sound like a smart thing to do, certainly. There's no visible, like dragon bits anywhere. There's like some wooden planks and such that seem to have been laid out where people have presumably gone and like gathered it. But at this point, they're slightly submerged. Actually, as you move closer, you can see some. Maybe like, inspect the area like a bird moves to land, like a duck, something lands, and it just suddenly is like pulled beneath the slippery sand by what looks like a sort of 3 meters long eel thing. Sort of pulls it under in one swoop.
What the fuck kind of creature is that, Guy?
Give me a nature check.
I will do so. Definitely does sound like a monster knowledge check to me.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Is 1d20. Sure. As a 17.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like a fish, some sort of big aquatic creature, certainly. From the quick look of it, it doesn't look like a what you'd call entirely natural creature. Probably also pretty much related to here. However, this lake is called Lake of the Snake, strangely enough, because of its large sort of sea serpent-like fish. Normally these don't grow this big, but it seems the ones here around the dragon corpses preserved in the highly silty sort of mud have been able to snack on that for generations, giving them a excessive growth and strength in teeth and shells, and it also seems that given the dwindling amount of dragon meat, that perhaps there's not enough left for them. Hasn't been for a while for them to feed on, having driven them hungry. It certainly seems like if any small creature moves into the sand, it would be like gobbled up and pulled under and swallowed by these things. That said, I mean, they are very large and sort of sharp-teethed fish, but against a dragon of your size, if you were smaller, it might prove actually a problem, but your size, they probably would not go for you if you were to come down here. If you got stuck in the sand, eventually they'd probably get up the courage to sort of like bite at your feet from underneath you. But they wouldn't inherently like engage with it. They would just sort of move away a little bit if you're close.
Vertilith will gesture towards.
To sense the tremors in the sand around them.
Vertilith will gesture towards where that bird just was before it disappeared and says, "Fish here, abnormally large, perhaps eating preserved dragon flesh for as long as the remains have been here. Should not be a trouble for us, not unduly so, though I do not know if there are any predators, others, lurking beneath the sand. I had considered sending the were-rats out here to dig, but they would fare much less well."
Well, the creatures are a good indication then that this is the right spot.
I think Vertilith will spiral down and land on the beach itself. Not immediately on like the site itself, though.
No. Yeah, I mean, land certainly is curvy. Could have been a massive brawl here in the distant past.
Does this area of the beach like look different at all from like I suppose like a land wise? Like you described like obviously like the differences, like obviously like folks have been like here and there's like some sort of construct of like folks having sifted through it. And like obviously like the fish, the aquatic creatures beneath this silt, their abnormal size, but does like the land, like this nature itself look different in this spot?
Could you give me like a perception check?
Yeah, I can give you a perception check. Sure. That is a 4, 7.
It's you know, there's a lot of things to see. It certainly is verdant. Verdilith will see that some of the plants though are not the same plants as is in the surrounding area. It seems there's lots of like thorny bushes growing low and into the water even. Beyond that, she also, I mean, you know, maybe not paying the most attention to that. She's maybe a little sick of it, but she recognizes some things that she would have thought was plants that might thrive in the Underdark, growing around here. Not something the casual observer would really pay attention to, but the same sort of vines and such that are sort of growing out of the water a bit.
Flashbacks immediately to being in the Underdark. That's not good.
So yes, it does seem like the vegetation is a little different. All seems like there's less like rabbits.
Okay.
That might be because they've been eaten, but even on the banks.
Vertilith will remark, there is a strangeness to the land, too. To further confirm what the old man Nadwin said.
It's like he looks down to the sand, says, "Seem too difficult to burrow through. I have some skill in digging." Peers down. I reckon if there are any more dragon bones, they would be deeper down there. The old man said there were creatures guarding it in the sand.
Vertilith says, it was likely the fish, which would not pose a threat to us. But if there is anything else, it still would not pose a great threat to us, right, Dilraxos?
Yes.
If you are inclined to dig to find more of this bone of ours, I would not stop you. Sure, like offers like a roll over his shoulders, like a whatever. You're fucking Tilraxos. Like I'm not gonna.
Traxus will nod and says, "I will take a look." He will swoop down towards the beach.
I'm not too fond of sand.
He would recognize that if there is anything, it's probably deeply buried in this silt, so far that it would get denser down there. That said, you know, he's a blue dragon. He can dive in sand.
Yes.
You know, but it still might be very bothersome to actually like find something. That, I mean, he's blind down there, really, and to find something and bring it up, you know, it's going to be annoying, but certainly not directly dangerous. Or like, the question is if you can find enough to actually make it a worthwhile effort.
He's just interested to see if there is anything down there, or if it's everything is mined out.
Looking at it, I mean, he's pretty sure that dragons are pretty big. Certainly, if they were described as dragons, I mean, looking at the tooth, at least one of them was bigger than Tilraxos is right now. By a step, right? So there might very well still be bits that humans couldn't like get to. Even if it's just like the whatever end of it is sort of furthest in the sand. Yeah. In fact, there could be a skill challenge for dragons who wish to try to get something out here. The problem, of course, being the fish, the sand, the water, difficulty of like seeing things. Just
Yeah, Tyraxos certainly intends to dig around to take a look, see if I can do.
Skill challenge seems appropriate. Yeah, sure. Let's go. Let's go get him. Let's go get some bone for us to have and no one else. So is anyone else making things out of dragon bone? That's not okay.
Yes. Want to gather the beautiful bones.
all right. Yeah, you can certainly begin diving down. This is a skill challenge that has a condition to taking it. This work is arduous, and these fish, as you begin to dive in and like disturb their home, will defend themselves. Not enough that you can actually like die to them, but participating in the skill challenge will cost you 1 healing surge per character that wish to participate.
I'm fine with that.
As a expended effort, basically, in trying to do this.
What do you think, Sheep?
Yeah. I mean, I'm curious enough that seems worth it, but Tyraxos will have to do the heavy lifting here for sure.
Wow. So you're saying he's stronger than you? I got it.
I'm just saying that sand is coarse and rough and gets everywhere.
Yeah, Verdalith.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she'll fucking spend a healing surge. She won't lay around passively and frolic in the fucking beach waters.
Is it 1 surge per action we take, or just
No, just 1 total.
Just one
Alright,
total.
yeah, sure.
Oh, they couldn't damage you that much, but they will make an effort. Again, smaller dragons would have a much bigger problem because they could be swallowed by the things. But not you. You are beyond that stage.
Alright. I've deducted the healing surge.
I have
Alright.
to.
Then who wants to start trying to get some of this stuff up? And what's your initial approach?
Seems most appropriate for you, Jonas.
Yep, Tyraxos will. He's a blue dragon. He digs. He will dive down using his athletics to dig around.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Dig far down to see what he can
Clear
find.
down huge holes in the sill to expose it to the light.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. 29.
Oh yes, that is certainly a success. As he begins to dig again, it's hard because it's silt, so it quickly like begins to run back. But if you dig enough in a big enough circle, you can begin to get quite far down. It's like a shovel, like a human skeleton of someone who fell in, probably. You know.
Veligner, for his part, he's not really as skilled as Tyraxos is in this environment, although he would, of course, never admit it. But you described it as an arduous and long task, probably exhausting even for us. So
Yeah.
I would suggest that Veligner just the brute force approach, and staves off the exhaustion that results from that as long as possible with endurance, basically pushing himself to dig and dig and dig and dig.
Yeah, sure. I mean, the holes are constantly refilling, and so having someone who's just constantly like moving to do the sort of constant labor of removing sand as it begins to be washed back is certainly something. Yeah, endurance is very appropriate.
We'll also take his armor before he does so, because it will
Alright.
only weigh him down here.
Make him sink further into the sand if he.
Which wouldn't exactly be ideal. 21.
Will do it. Yeah, it's a second success. As more sand is removed and kept away. Duck out.
Okay. If Verdalith has a solid understanding of these fish-like creatures, and she does, then she can expedite the efforts of Tyraxos and Velignith by putting herself on what she enjoys best, hunting patrol. Because boy does she love to eat. It's been a while since she's had a snack. So I think with that in mind, she's going to focus her efforts specifically on like hunting and devouring and striking down these fish creatures. So as not to harry Tyraxos and Velignith, though I am uncertain what skill that specifically would fall under.
I think nature could be appropriate. I mean, that's generally used for hunting.
Okay. I will
Perception
perform
I could accept as
Alright.
well. So yeah, it's a skill used to find the things. They're mostly ambushers themselves.
29.
Oh yes, that's a success. He gobbles like, I guess like we see like a
Oh, yeah.
background shot of her like gobbling down like a
It's
whole
very
eel
much like,
sort of.
like silt and sand and like plant life and like fish is just like.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
Coughs
they're
of, like, a
big.
bit of, like,
they
scale tail.
wiggle and like they're strong things, but delicious muscle. You know, not enough fish. It's good. It's good for you.
Like, how better to like gain the strength of the dragon they devoured by devouring them? That's what she
Okay,
thinks to herself.
Yeah.
That is what they would say. Forgot about that.
All right. Yeah. A few less to bother. You're digging down towards the promise of treasure.
Well, Troix is big and scary. We'll try to scare off some of the fishes. Great for breathing rooms. They don't nip us in the bud all the time. So I'll use my
Yeah, sure.
intimidate to try to
sense.
just ward them away. Get away, fish. 25.
Yeah. He is not currently bothered by fishes. They do want to not bother him, and his sort of stomping and ripping around in sand certainly increases their animal respect for a thing that's bigger than, stronger than them.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's good. You're halfway to.
Is this like an 8 successes before like 2
Yes.
failures before 3
No,
failures?
3 failures.
Okay,
8-3. Complexity.
understood.
That's a lot of successes. I'm having a hard time
lot to take
trying
on.
to think of challenges other than sand and eels that Valignif could deal with.
Oh, okay. Well, Valignif is a man of industry, or a dragon of industry, who likes to construct things. These humans would have used shovels. There's got to be tools around here for Valignif to make something bigger, to use as like a leverage point. Because it's not just going to be enough for us to be like, aha, we're dragons, we got it. We can make this quicker.
You put
Yeah,
different
or maybe like a scaffolding to hold the
Yeah.
sand in place. But
So-
what
something to
skill
fulcrum
would that be?
power.
Well, I mean, arguing for how he usually does things, I mean, he would just grab stuff and then hammer it into the sand until it's stuck there.
That
That seems to be his way of
sounds
building.
about
things.
right.
That's his manner of conflict resolution, yeah.
So that would be athletics generally, I think, to begin bashing
makes
things
sense.
out until it works.
He's a brute force engineer.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I don't have a cork that fits this bottle. Well, this one will have to make do, and then, you know,
20.
that'll do it. Yeah,
Good thing I have plus 15 on my athletics.
yeah. Brute force engineer. Yeah, that does it as the little walls begin coming. The sand stops more. It does also mean, however, that all sorts of other crap that floats on top of water begins to go down, because now there's a nice hole here, and like it makes a lot of you're making a lot of movement in the scummy water, and visibility down there isn't great, and at this point the water flow begins to be sort of annoying by itself. You're big dragons and such, but you're not really good at swimming a whole lot. You can swim, but the fine maneuvering might not be your best. Or maybe it is. I don't know.
All right. Then obviously the next step is that we need some shelter for this hole so as to prohibit all of this random riffraff and disgusting material to come in while Valignif does whatever bizarre contraption that he does, which I was thinking about possibly doing, which is why I had that in mind to suggest. So Verdlif is great among her skill set is laying down. If she's just able to build like a fucking wall and make the crabs pay for it, that means that water and silt and other trash will not be able to get into the hole. She can use herself as a direct blockade, spread herself wide
All right.
Just
to gobble up and.
lets out the gut she's been holding in to appear more slim.
I think this is more of an endurance thing to just like fucking like deal with like all of like the shit coming at her.
He
Sure,
just deals.
sure.
Yeah.
And she is.
Tank it.
She is. Yes, tanking the trash, the thorny vines and
Yeah.
whatever. That is a check modifier just to make sure. For a 21. My goodness.
Yes, that also does it. You are 2 successes from having done it. As down there, maybe you begin to see like
The shadow of
reflected,
Verdolith.
like sun, like like you see like something purple,
Oh.
matte purple down there, and
Oh,
some
I
slightly
knew it.
blackened pieces of bone.
Yeah, makes
There is
sense.
stuff down here, and it's so close.
Verdolith calls out.
Gathered and brought up before all the things you're doing basically collapses over time.
Verdolith calls out in her cunning ways. I hope you two can solve the rest of this. If I move, all of this backlog will wash down there. As if she finds a way not to do any more work.
Well, Jiraxis is also fairly endurance, and he's been digging a lot, but he will push through Dragon Fortitude and all to get to the bottom of this. He will intensify digging using his endurance.
All right, just keep at it.
Yep,
Digging intensifies.
exactly.
Verdolith might not lay there forever. I gotta hurry this up. My goodness.
28.
All right, yeah. I mean, you can freed out. See that there's a nice couple of light. It looks like the sort of this purple dragon must have fallen back down, and it looks like a spine and some like scales covering it are still here to be scavenged.
Well, we're deep in the hole at this point.
Oh,
You
yeah.
did say the like vision isn't too great. It's maybe not
No.
dark, but there's like water and Verdolith's massive shadow.
And a lot of silt have been like washed up, so it's like you open your eyes and it's get full of sand.
So Malignant would like to just, identify where the interesting bits are, so we don't waste time digging in the wrong direction.
Break 'em.
Using perception.
To try.
My amazing bonus, but honestly, I can't think of a way to apply heal or religion. 11?
No, he doesn't see it, and he moves down, and like it just whirls up more sand. Should get another failure here.
A failure. My goodness. Damn it. It wasn't a flawless skill check, guys.
As a big dragon, it's hard to do these precision jobs, and it really is just a hole for sand. You do the tantalizing glints of treasure, but yeah, pinpointing it is not so easy.
Well, I have a feeling I will have to try to pinpoint it, because I also running out of applicable skills here. Maybe Jiraxis and Dragon Eyes can dragon something in the sand.
Dragons and then dragon.
Use greed vision.
Yeah, exactly. Like bat vision, but greed. 22.
That'll do it.
Yes.
As he perhaps, given his heritage, more adept at looking through the sand. It doesn't bother his eyes as it does
Yeah,
the
Valignith.
others. The blue dragon can dive down and come up again with these a couple of dives above necessary. After he takes one up, like it becomes more obvious where it is, and then sort of the others can, if they desire, also bring up bits and pieces of this. But it was certainly a huge purple dragon that once died here. So it's a sort of central spinal column and a large back scales still lying here.
I have a feeling this might have been the dragon the lizard man mentioned.
Maybe, yeah.
Fertilus says, what? No. Why would you think that? Just because they're the remains of a purple dragon doesn't mean that it is immediately the god of the lizard folk.
I mean, how many purple dragons can there really be? It's just awfully close.
What? We are so far above the Underdark at this point. This is not possibly Samyana.
Maybe that's
Whatever. Stupid. She says, like, remembering that Samyana is not the name of a dragon, but instead of a god or whatever, and Verliv decides that she stops caring.
Well,
I mean, didn't you say there was something Underdarky about this?
yes. Purple dragons are in the dark, and it was a mushrooms.
It might be a stretch, but it would be nice to know that this purple dragon is, in fact, dead and not lurking somewhere nearby. I've got enough of those already.
Malachi, is it common knowledge to dragons that, upon the deaths of other dragons, like the energies inside the dragon, can change the environment in some way?
I think you would have an inherent understanding of, if nothing else, that the world changes to accommodate you. In one way or another, dragons gain power. I mean, you're dragons. The world should respect you in such ways.
Oh, okay. So, I see.
The transformations around this site were because of the remains of the black dragon and purple dragon. So, the terrain altered around just due to the fact that their deaths have shaped this land, the land terrain here. That's why, initially I was confused whenever he described the whole Underdark vibe. I was like, that doesn't fit with a black dragon. I was like, oh.
Well, do you think these two dragons killed each other? Usually there's a winner.
Yes. They probably destroyed each other. Or some third, much more dangerous thing came in and finished off whatever was left.
Fuck. There's so many dragons here.
Yes. It's concerning. Directors will look over the bones and scales collected to try to make an inventory of how much it is.
All right. Yeah, I mean, the things by themselves don't have an inherent value. But he believes there's actually quite a bit of material here. Things to be created. It has been laying down, and it's not what you would call, as far as he knows, bone crafting, right? It's not what you call prime bone. It's not like the skull or the teeth. But the scale certainly could make armor or even shields for a small group of people.
Well, seems like our newly acquired craftsman has some materials to work with, and it better make this incredibly valuable for us to sell or keep or do something with.
Outfit someone of value enough that we would actually give them this.
Yeah, a set of dragon bone armor and weapons. Good God. Dressings. I was like, oh yes, you're my favorite servant. Here, have this knife made of a human thigh bone. And you'd be like, what? Yes.
I am confident Valignith himself could handle it, though he might accept some advice from his new pet.
Oh, learning things you don't know yet is not something you have to sugarcoat. Although that's a strange idiom to use for a dragon.
Yeah. Verlo says, I have no doubt that you could make things. It is, after all, what you do.
It is what
You're not destroying things.
Yeah, don't destroy the old man.
I do both. A lot of this stuff is likely going to get wasted as I try to figure out how to make something with it, but that's besides the point.
Mildly upsetting to hear that.
Yes.
Honest to a fault, isn't he, Torraxos?
Yes, and his predilection for destroying things and creating things is certainly how we get all of these messes most of the time.
Were any of you trained in religion or arcana?
Yes, religion.
I do have religion.
Okay, if you're trained in those, could you give me a religion check then, as you've been digging through this, and as you basically wonder, how did these bones come to be here?
26.
16.
Right. Well, you would just manage the DC the Versalith as well. So you will get the same information out of it basically as you've looked around. Maybe taking here and looking, sort of considering. It's like there is a vague sense in this place. I mean, there's obviously death, right? Dragons died here. It's a somewhat of a big deal. And certainly it's likely that they fought each other given how the bodies must have laid sort of on top of one another. But beyond that, there are some things that do not entirely fit the narrative of two dragons killing each other, because usually there is a winner. Indeed.
See, that's what I said.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm elaborating on your ability to get this stuff. And it would seem that there might have indeed been a third party, though that third party sort of how would you ever be able to tell really? You sense with your knowledge of religion and the divine in some respects that in this distant past, as you dig down and disturb these bones, that they were somewhat touched with necromancy. So it is likely, perhaps, that there was a third party, and that third party was a necromancer of a size or scope that did not make the dragons fight that person first.
There's a lot of necromancy around these parts.
Like Verlev looks at Valigno.
Beyond that, looking at it and remembering back, you do remember actually that Elizabeth used to have a purple dragon ruling them until a black dragon arrived and had all sorts of ideas about how things should be changed.
Oh, son of a bitch.
They got into conflict until Samyana chose to arrive to banish them both and free the Lisbon people.
Son of a bitch.
So I think perhaps that there could be a connection. Because, yeah, a purple dragon, okay, but both of them in the same place fighting each other might be a stretch. Also suggests that there's a different way up, because certainly no one has fought all the way up through the Sparse Grove and tumbled around there.
Yeah. That was Vertilus thought it was just so far away from where those lizard folk were, but the environment could have changed, sure. Yeah. Vertilus looks into Valignus, narrows her eyes, says, "This is not the first time we have encountered something like this around a body of water."
Yeah. Why is the water relevant, though?
Because of our previous exploration in the ritual and the energy we discovered.
Yes, I know the location you mean, but I'm wondering why the water coincides with these places. As far as I know necromancy, and I can't say I'm an expert, water has nothing to do with it.
She rolls her shoulders.
Unless the necromancer is an aquatic creature of a sort, but usually it's humans meddling with those forces, or humanoids at least.
Probably not important now. The prize is ours.
Indeed.
Yay, prizes.
Prizes?
We can now go back to damn Worm's Hamlet. We can stuff the bones into wheelbarrows that were taken along with this damn old man and his fucking bedding. You can wheel that shit down to the Underdark.
Yep.
Turns out there's a bunch of dragon bone left for him to play with.
Yep.
He can be happy in his old age.
Yep. Everyone's happy.
That's right, a happy ending.
Hooray.
Yeah.
So that's what we do as dragons, give happy endings to people.
Wait, what? Excuse me.
We're back to Gaius and Tiberius.
Yeah.
Business
Right.
opportunity right there.
Yeah. Yeah. You have both bones and scales from the completed skill challenge.
You might as well keep track of that sheep since it's pretty much like your wheelhouse anyway.
Yes. Keep track of how much?
bones and scales will do fine.
All right.
You'll be
Well,
using them to do a project of some sort, if you want to. Or
I,
guess you
I
can
don't
burn them.
want.
I guess you
have
can burn them
built
for posterity's sake, you know.
a bone
Yeah.
For them in the
A
Gazebo.
religious ritual of some kind.
I smoked them, you know.
Yeah, I ground them up into
Filled with
fine
ash,
paste.
just-
Jonas, we're gonna come back and he's gonna like have all the scales stapled onto like his body.
I feel like I'm Varstrix now.
I am purple. Whee! And you're like, oh no, he's
Look
going
at
to
you.
Like at that
be
point, we all
insane.
collectively decide to like knock him unconscious and like cage him up somewhere for the rest of his days.
Yeah,
Seems
Yeah.
like an appropriate time to end the session.
I think so. Indeed.
Got some roleplay done. Got to see Tilraxos become an Earl and
Yes.
suffer.
You didn't see that. I was
And,
sorry.
and call out a threat to everyone else, to all the inferiors. You keep that in mind, Centaur chump, wherever you are.
Yeah, I'm
he
an
probably
Earl
wasn't
now.
there.
Yeah,
He doesn't live in the Fae, but
yeah.
But no, if he sees Tyraxos, he will know Tyraxos has a higher rank.
Yep. And we know that you can make demands of people in lower ranks.
I can,
Those are the
yes.
rules.
Yes, those are the rules. Just have to do some fancy, smancy, words and such, but they have to obey me if I really put my will to it.
I mean, right now, what can he command though? Like a cold breeze.
She was eager to get that in there. He was excited.
Well, this session is over. I've had enough of these
Christmas is
insults.
cancelled.
Christmas is cancelled.
You have we have completed no goals this session.
I thought Sheep had made a goal regarding Words Hamlet at the start. Did that not happen?
Did I miss that, Sheep?
I had
Like
made
you
a goal.
explicitly like stated like you wanted to do something with Words Hamlet. That wasn't made a goal.
I hadn't suggested it as a goal, mostly as a thing to do during the session. It probably should have been a goal because
Yeah,
it-
like I
by
thought that
definition
you
was a
had
goal.
because if you I was going to do that, but you took care of it. So
You know what?
did
I think it's fair. I think that's fair. We'll have said there's an easy goal there. Tell you what. How about that?
All right. All right.
Woo.
To investigate and interact with Worms. We'll put that on here.
Well done.
We got our skill challenge done. Woo!
it-
Avoided combat somehow, but for the
It-
grace of God.
Despite not having any fights or accomplishing many hard goals, I feel like we got a lot done this session.
Yeah, it was a
Felt like
talkie
a good
session.
session.
An RP
Talking,
session.
yeah.
It was a
Bullied some
good session
people.
because it wasn't in the Underdark.
Told some people, we talked sensibly to some people, found a crazy necromantic crafter old man who wants to murder us and take our bones for his weird obsessions.
That's why he was looking at like so interestingly, like studying like our
Oh
our
no,
physiology.
I saw the sexuality in his looks. I know what he wants to do with my bones. It's
and here I thought he
disgusting.
just had an academic interest. Oh no,
No. He sees something else. He's like, oh yes. See
you
your
learned about-
beautiful bones. Yes.
You learned about Mayor Albrecht, the Spellsguard refugees.
Yep. Who goes and contemplates somewhere on his own.
That's right. Ethereal realm for all we know.
Also, I feel like there's like an Aboleth necromancer.
Might be. Comes up from the water. Baha!
It just makes sense to me.
Wiggles his tentacles, do some necromancy, and then dives down again.
I must go now.
Yeah.
The necromancy elsewhere. That is the most outrageous thing you have suggested. I can't.
What?
Yeah.
Perfect sense.
Well, we have gained 14,035 XP, which is 358 XP per dragon, putting us to 20,190.
20,000. That's like 310 experience left.
20,490 is what you said?
20,190.
Okay, yeah. That's 300. Yep, that's 310.
490 I've just given to you. Like, my God. Yeah.
Well then,
So little. All right.
almost there. We can taste it.
Almost.
Right.
All right. Well,
Up to you, kids, to figure out what you're going to be doing next week.
I guess we'll see. What I'm going to be doing right now is head off to bed because long week and I'm very tired.
That's his
but
goal.
That's my goal. It's a hard goal. Like every time I go to the bathroom. What? Excuse me.
Everyone has a hobby.
Yeah.
I will treasure the things that were said today.
Happy to entertain everyone. Yeah, we'll catch you guys next week. And maybe tomorrow morning, me and Manikai will play some Warhammer. So if you're interested in seeing how Manikai deals with 20 billion sources, I guess tune in tomorrow and we'll take a look.
Woo!
Woo! See you then.